briefly and then took it down. Yeah. Okay.
Do it. At this point, it's no big.
Unless that's timed.
However, it's no. Hey, I don't. Test. because I'm hearing game sound right now, but that's okay now because it's the intro and the ToCoSo custom-made song, and that'll be great.
7 seconds, 5 seconds. We're going live.
Yep. All right, where's the transition? Hello, everyone. I'm still looking at the countdown screen, but just without the countdown. Arson, am I on a delay? Hello? Why am I not hearing anyone?
Because Kai
I
stopped
was
talking.
muted.
Okay. All right, so I'm seeing... All right, so we're over the delay screen, and this is just standard footage. Okay, sorry. Welcome, everyone. Sorry for the technical difficulties. How's everybody doing today? Let me look in chat. All right, everybody's good. See fighting. Hi, all. Okay, so we're going to just do a little quick sound check. I'm going to introduce each person. They're going to talk for just a moment. If anyone is hearing somebody is like too low or too high or there's a problem, let us know. We're going to start off with Roy. Say hi, Roy.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the show.
Beautiful. How does Roy sound, guys? We're going to move on to Arson.
Hello, everybody. This is Arson.
All right. Next up, we've got MalForTheWin.
Greetings, chat friends. How are you all doing?
Beautiful. And last, because we saved the best for last, we have the lovely and talented Psykit.
Oh, you. Hi, guys.
All right. So you've heard every last one of us. I just want a real quick sound check. We're going to roll into it because we have a packed show tonight. All right. Is everybody good on sound? While you guys look at that, I'm going to scroll up and let's see. We started off with Wintermute, Big 07, DUNKLE Aura, who is here and is our stream moderator. Say hi, everybody. Yeah. We got Space Hero, aka DJ Wiley. How you doing, brother? We've got Dave Nutt. Clicks link started stream 69 seconds ago. Nice. Let's see who else we have here. We've got Tholger. We've got Commander Single Malt Scotty. Hello. Yuna Sakashiro. Hello, Yuna. We've got Mackie Sasser 420. Hawk of the Reborn. And AJ Plays.
Dunkle saying that Arson could be a little louder.
Okay. Commander Maskeen ECC. And let's see. Did I get everybody? I think I got everybody. I'm trying to get everybody. Beautiful. Thank you so much for coming out and listening to the show live. We will have the final show up with the show notes or whatever within like an hour or two of ending the show. And then they'll be up also edited and in podcast form tomorrow for you to enjoy. But I think we're going to just jump right into it if everybody's good. Arson, say something else. I want to test your sound now.
This is Arson speaking after a volume change.
You sound exactly the same to me, but if the output level has gone up, then okay, that's good. All right. All sounding good, I'm here saying. Okay. All right, guys, let us go ahead and launch into it. Everybody loose and ready? Everybody ready to have some fun?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Absolutely.
Ready.
All right. So I'm going to go ahead and mute and Arson kick off the intro.
Previously on Elite Week.
Someday, I think you and me are going to end up bloody.
How about now? I'm free right now.
Beneath this mask, there is more than flesh. Beneath this mask, there is an idea, Mr. Creedy, and ideas are bulletproof.
I'm not going to be a policeman. There's a reason you separate the military and the police. One fights the enemy of the state, the other serves and protects the people. When the military becomes both, then the enemies of the state tend to become the people.
Sat there, just going back and forth in this old boat, just like a ship in a bottle. You came round, hopped on the bridge and took command, and so we sailed into the night. I couldn't set a course on my own. Which way was North Star or even Sagittarius A? I couldn't get at all on my own. Didn't know which way was North Star or even Sagittarius A. We set sail, not on a rough sea, but just floating free from the bottom. And you said, let's just see where the jump takes us all together. Let's jump together. And the systems fell, we scanned them all. We put our names against those first discoveries, wonderful memories. The sectors passed, we own them all. Something on were notable. We took some shots to show our friends some things they won't believe. All the things that I have said, all the places I have been. Oh, I have crossed the void. They won't believe. Aboard that night, I sat there, just going back and forth in this old boat, just like a ship in a bottle. You came round, hopped on the bridge and took command, and so we sailed into the night.
Welcome, everyone. I hope you guys are feeling great tonight. This is Elite Week, episode 25 for Friday, July 24th, 2020, the Galactic Water Cooler. With me, as always, is Commander Roy Cookson. Say hello, Roy.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the show.
Hey. We also have Arson Cross tonight with us, who is also doing the tech and the stream. Say hello, Arson.
Good evening, everybody. It's happy to be here. Or I'm happy to be here, unless I'm it. I'm not sure, though.
You've just
That's
revealed
it.
You're a robot.
That's it. We're outsourcing your job to India. Also tonight we have with us. The super sexy MalForTheWin. That's right. Just when you thought I was going to zig, I zag.
I thought you were going to say the other one.
Hello, Mal.
How are you guys doing?
Fantastic.
Excellent.
Doing well. Doing very well.
And also we have with us tonight Psykit, the brains of the operation.
I mean, sure.
I won't
Hi,
argue with
guys.
that.
Oh man.
I won't
Oh.
argue with that.
All right. And we're gonna start the night off with a little adult beverage just to get us going. Man, what a night. What a week this has been. So why don't we start off with make sure that we hit all of the stream stuff that you're supposed to do, all the plugs. Elite Week, YouTube. So first off, we now have the custom URL, whatever, so it's just youtube.com/Elite Week. For the podcast, it's anchor.fm/Elite Week. We've got the email, if you want to write into us, is eliteweek3306@gmail.com. And my Twitter is twitter.com/Kai19103. And Elite Week Discord, tinyurl.com/Elite Week Discord. That is all of the places to find us. So if you're listening to us on the podcast and you're like, hey man, I want to see some more of these show notes or whatever, that's where you go to the YouTube. If you're listening to us on the YouTube and you want the podcast, that's where you go to write in, etc., etc. And for all of it, the best thing is to join the Discord. Come in. We've got like 1,500 people now in here. Come join us. There's tons of rooms and discussions and posts and different things that you can see and be a part of. And yeah, we love all of that. And then obviously, please, if you enjoy the show, give us a nice little write-up on iTunes or, what is it? Google Podcasts and Spotify and whatever else. And then, click like and subscribe on the YouTube to make sure that you see when we go out. But just no matter what it says on the times, because we sometimes have technical difficulties, but no matter what it says, we record every week Friday at 8 p.m. Eastern time, which right now with daylight savings comes out to midnight UTC, so server time, midnight. And yeah, and I definitely want to hit the fact, thank you for that awesome song, Ship in a Bottle by ToCoSo, Commander Tom Cook. Tom is working on a little something, a little project, and hopefully we'll be able to unveil that in the next week or two. So yeah, so those are all of the podcast intro, and with that out of the way, let's dive into the show. All right, let's start off with Psykit and MalForTheWin. Hey guys, how are you?
Doing really well, thank you.
Doing really good. Yeah. Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, phenomenal. I want to start right off the bat with the plugs. We're going to do those at the beginning and at the end because you guys are two beautiful people that definitely need to get all of the love because we're super happy to have here. So we've got Psykit on Twitch is just twitch.tv/Psykit, PSYKIT. MalForTheWin on Twitch is twitch.tv/MalForTheWin, MalForThewin, all one word. The Flight Assist podcast can be found at flightassistpodcast.com. That's a hard one to remember. And for the Flight Assist Discord, guys, don't just listen to the show. The show's great, okay? I've listened every week, and they're phenomenal. One thing I really love about the show, I love that you guys do that thing, and I don't know if it's on purpose or just as a goof, but like Friends used to always do the show, and the name of the show would be The One With Something, and it would be like a thing that happened. Every show, you guys, it's like this week was the one with the burr pit, and yeah, so I love that.
It's a little bit of a tip of the hat to that.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful. Well, don't just listen to the podcast. You also have to go to discord.io/Flight Assist Podcast. Join that community and get in on all of the stuff that's going on, because there's even more for you to see behind the scenes there that should be awesome. And when you have a good podcast, I'm told, I wouldn't know anything about it, but what I'm told is that when you have a good podcast, it leads to like awesome conversations. And some of those conversations, man, if you really want to get your feedback in on your thoughts on something, or like, hey, I really loved this, and hey man, I really, you know, this week was Burr and Rainey, who, you know, I just absolutely am madly in love with both of them. They're phenomenal human beings, of the highest order, and yeah, it's just crazy. So yeah, go over there, get in on the discussion, because the discussion goes on even further on their Discord.
Yep. There's a flight assist Discord. Yes, Space Hero. That is correct.
Yes, there is. Yes, there is. And now you know where to find it. And yeah. So get in on that.
And
so
the Discord is relatively new, so it's a constantly expanding set of channels and interactions. So
beautiful. All right. Let's start off with Psykit. Because we're gonna do both of you. So let's start. We gotta pick one. Let's start with Psykit. Ladies first. I love your streams. I love, like, you guys each have your own thing that you bring to the game. Sort of, Mal is like the absolute best at all of his like computer programming type stuff, where, you know, somebody raids, like, it was literally asked on Twitter today. Somebody said, hey, of all the streamers, who does the best raid response? And I said, there is zero question. There are many people that have phenomenal raid responses. MalForTheWin has the best. His thing is like all of that computer programming stuff and skill with like making all of the doodads do the things. Your skill, I find, is a much more sort of personal touch, in sort of connecting with people and just the great casual conversations. You guys both do a lot of general stuff, so you're doing different kind of things. I think Mal is maybe a little more on the exploration side, and you are for sure heavy into the BGS stuff.
I dabble.
Yeah, you dabble. Okay. All right. So tell me a little bit. I mean, obviously the phenomenal interview that you guys had to start off, where you interviewed each other on the launch day of it. You know, I heard your story about how you got into the game, but for those people who maybe have not heard it, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you got in on the game and the things that you love?
Okay. Yeah, I've been playing. I'm relatively latecomer to Elite in general. I have my best friend has played Elite since it was on the BBC Micro. So he's very much he was very much a steering force to me joining the game. And I was pretty much just sick of playing third wheel to my best mate and my husband playing Elite Dangerous together. So I went, okay, I'll pick it up. And they were like, you can pick it up, see how you get on, see if you're going to enjoy it. You probably won't, but it's always discounted on Steam. So I picked it up and haven't really looked back 3 accounts later, you know. But yeah, wow. I adore it. It's my thing.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
3 accounts. 3 accounts later.
Well, 3 and then the 2 ones that I look after for PA. But yeah. So 5 accounts.
Only
yeah,
5.
You come to mention it, maybe 5, yeah.
So let me ask you, why are you slacking? Why not an even dozen?
Those are rookie numbers, right? Those are rookie numbers, because there's not enough time in the day, man.
Yeah, believe me, I know that feeling. Believe me, I know that feeling. Beautiful. All right. Well, let's jump over to Mal for a little bit, and then we'll bring you back in for the happy couple. So Mal, like as I said, the thing that I love most about your podcast, and it's or your stream rather, and it might seem bad to almost say this, but it's like you're great at the personal connection and the excitement and the talking with people and explaining things. And both you and Psykit 100% are like, I've seen you both stop dead what you're doing, drop everything, and go just deep into the weeds, helping somebody out with, like, they have a question, they have a problem. Like, you guys are both lovely people. And so I don't want to just make it sound like you're this robot or whatever, but you are kind of a programming god when it comes to sort of just making all of the stream do the crazy things that I'm like, how does he do that? Like it's like some of your stuff is like, it's like film level quality of like, what the hell is this?
I have 2 cheats I can share with you. And I don't know that I necessarily went into these when I was doing my interview on the podcast on Flight Assist, but the right out of high school, I went to Savannah College of Art and Design, and my major was film and video production, and specifically computer animation. So I've been dabbling in animation and visual effects and, you know, things like After Effects and that sort of tool since 1990 something. So quite a few years that under my belt. And then what I do for work is interactive training courses, like online multimedia training, and not like click next to continue, but like full immersive, you know, everything from 360 videos to VR stuff to interactive, you know, websites and things that where it's like it's more of an immersive interaction experience than just like a static web page. So I'm able to take, luckily, since OBS works with browser sources, and most of the tools that we have for Elite Dangerous have some sort of API that you can tap into. That opens up a lot of windows if you know how to kind of marry those two worlds together and have it feed into a browser source. Then kind of like the world is your oyster. So so I use my work and school knowledge to perform Twitch wizardry, I think is the best way to put it.
Beautiful, man. That's beautiful. All right. So I've got a bone to pick with you, mister. You owe me now for the win. I came onto your stream and I paid my 1,000 whatever weird points were.
Channel points. Yep.
Yes. I spent you could tell I'm a very high-tech person and I know all of the stream lingo. I paid my 1,000 channel points and I asked you to list 5 wonderful things about your podcast wife. And I think that you got raided and then things got busy and whatever. I think you might owe me 1 or 2. So I'm going to ask you right now, I'm going to put you on the spot. Give me 3 awesome things about your podcast wife, Psykit.
We circled back around and got the last 2 at the end, but I knew you had already left. I was like, God, he's not going to let me live this down. He's not going to let me. Basically, what I said about Psykit is I really love kind of some of the same stuff that you brought up. I love the way that she's able to solidify community, that she's able to take kind of a in addition to that. So like one is that friendly nature, that community, that ability to kind of rally the troops together and get them all pointed in the same direction, and then kind of a caveat to that, which would be a number 2, is her enthusiasm for Elite Dangerous is absolutely infectious, and not in the normal way. Like, I'm watching somebody online, I see what they're doing, and I want to emulate that. Like, I watch people come into her chat and say, like, I was thinking about buying this game, and after watching her stream for 3 hours, they've bought a copy and they're already out of the starter zone. Like, it's that infectious. That's 2. I have to come up with 3. Oh, I'll give you, since you didn't hear this one, the last one I said was, she's a dog and cat person.
I wish that was more true.
Very rare. Very rare find in humanity. Usually you're either one or the other. She has both. She has doggos and cattos, which I think speaks a very positive thing about her.
Okay. So now we're going to turn the tables, and I don't have stream points, but I'll email you a $20 bill later, Psykit. I want the top 3 things that you love about your podcast husband.
Mal is, without a shadow of a doubt, the most helpful human being on this planet. He will go out of his way. There's times when I've happened to mention something that I would quite like doing, and then the next thing I know, he's given me, he's DM'd me a 20-minute video tutorial, and I'm not joking. That genuinely did happen, and I still refer to it when I'm doing any of the stuff that I do. I still refer to it. He will drop everything and go to help somebody.
Well, you know why, right?
Because he's amazing.
Well, but I mean, why he sent you a tutorial is because, and he said this before on his stream, that you are I think the way he said it was an autodidact, that you are a type of person that you are just like, you don't want someone to do it for you. You want to like pick it apart and learn it and do all of that, which is awesome.
Yeah, I'd rather learn it myself. Since not having the qualifications that Mal has had or anything, but since I was like 14, I have dabbled in different Photoshops and different types of like animation studios and things like that. Just like having a play with making little animated GIFs of people and all of that stuff. And that started from when I was really, really young. And to be able to apply that now to apply that for what I'm doing, I'm incredibly grateful for. And Mal he's so good. And the second thing, we're on 2 now. He's so good at sort of encouraging you to not be better, but to be your best, be the best version of yourself. He's so good at that, and he's so supportive, and he's properly a rock. And I'm not going to lie, I've not known Mal for a huge amount of time. I think we probably have known each other pushing on 9 months, something around like that sort of thing, maybe a tiny bit longer than that. But it's like, he is so supportive and so helpful. And I know both of those kind of sit on each other a little bit. And my third thing is his dogs are really nice. I'm copping out too.
They heard you because they just started barking. I don't know
why. What it was is they're like, I want to share some lore.
Yeah, exactly.
The dogs of lore. Cry havoc and let's slip the dogs of lore.
Yes.
Beautiful. All right. Well, now let's talk about the Flight Assist podcast.
There's a podcast?
There's a podcast? What?
Yeah. So, okay. Yeah. You noobs. Let me just break the news to you. There's a new awesome podcast in town, and it's so it's so cool and it's so refreshing. It's very, very different than anything else, because what you guys do, instead of what we do is a talk show of all the news of Elite and yada, yada, yada. And it's sort of, I don't know. I think it's good. It is what it is. I think it's, but it's very tied to the time. Whereas what I'm sort of jealous of is a concept that you guys have come across, where you guys aren't doing a podcast about Elite Dangerous. You guys are doing a podcast about the people who play Elite Dangerous and asking them interesting questions and whatnot. And that makes it timeless in a way. Like today we're going to discuss, the Dark Wheel update and patch .3 stuff and whatever. And that's super interesting, I think, for people right now. But when you look at like your interview with Burr and Rini, or Warlord or Tater Tot, or I love Crispy. Oh my God, he's so good. or just anybody. It's a very timeless piece that somebody can click on that interview with Crispy, a year from now, and it's still going to be just as good. Whereas this one right here, I think if you hear it a year from now, you're going to be like, well, that's a lot of stuff that happened one random week a long time ago.
Yeah. It was interesting coming up with a formula. We started out, Psykit, like how
it was
much
a
stuff
nightmare.
It was ridiculous.
We rather sensibly now I look back on it, but we had a discussion about starting a podcast, and we'd planned so much stuff. We'd planned like different focuses each week, different bits and pieces here and there, and we got to a point where we went, we did that thing where we went, okay, we're just not going to talk about it for 3 weeks. And we didn't. We just sat on it for like 3 weeks, and then when we came back to it, we'd both definitely been talking about it to people. We were really enthusiastic with this idea of starting something along those lines, and then it kind of just sort of became the bits that we were really, really excited about were the bits where we were talking to other commanders and leaning on our strength is like chatting it's chatting to people. We both love talking to people, so why not just focus on that? And also we thought, oh, we might not get enough to put out a weekly podcast.
Yeah.
So
and meanwhile, you guys are like 3 months ahead of time.
We're pretty much booked up until Christmas now.
Yeah.
Which is wonderful, and I certainly didn't expect that to happen. I can tell that you can tell that I know that because I do all the scheduling.
She does. She is all the scheduling.
But we have we managed to sit down, work out exactly what we wanted to do in coming back, and rather than make it like this big talking about things that exactly are time sensitive, we wanted to have that more. Let's talk about the community and focus on the humans that are actually picking up and flying around the galaxy, because they all have their own stories to tell.
Yep.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I dig that. I dig that a lot.
I had like I hadn't thought about the timeless part, but that's a really good point. Like, we could, in theory, drop episodes, pre-record 20 episodes and drop them in any order we wanted to, because like you were saying, it doesn't matter what's happening that week. You know, an interview with Commander Burr and Rini is still an interview with Commander Burr and Rini. What we had thought about, like one of the things that we had thought about, was, you know, if we distilled down to, there was kind of two things that kept coming back up. Is one, we can appreciate some salt and some good hearty discussion around what you do and don't like about the game, but what's the easiest way to keep that from happening unless we want it to? And we realized the way was to not talk about the game itself, talk about the people playing it. And then you don't have to worry about, what if I want to interview somebody who just really hates the game right now because of some mechanic, some patch, something like that. You can still bring them on and interview them, because you can always direct the conversation back to, yeah, I hear you, it sucks what's happening with Tritium, but what was your favorite thing that happened before that? Like, what was the coolest thing? You can always redirect away from it without it sounding like you're diminishing the discussion around that issue.
Well, also too, with as you said, with the nature of the questions, when you get into, favorite ship, least favorite ship, power play leader, this, that, and the other, it's going to direct people sort of away from any one particular gripe or whatever into like, oh, well, what is my favorite ship? Let's look into it. Or, hey man, what first got you excited, or whatever. And first off, let me just say that is just a silly question to ask. You should not be asking people who their favorite power play is, because there is only one answer that is acceptable, and that is the People's Princess. Can we all agree?
That is correct. It's kind of a trick question. It's along the same line of the questions about, like, is there a free Anaconda at Hutton Orbital, or is there a free fleet carrier out at Beagle Point? We all know the answer to this, but you kind of got to ask them anyway.
It's just a bit of fun right at the end, and it's really nice, and we have a giggle over it, and we end like a. Sometimes, especially there were some coming up where we have some really really serious questions, really serious conversations, and I'm not going to say who it is, but it's a beautiful episode, and we talk about some really really heavy things that have happened in this person's life, and how Elite has been a part of that, and we then go, okay, let's do this fun round, and we're still all laughing and enjoying ourselves at the end. So it's not as blunt as that for sure, but it's a good.
Well, let me just say that better not be Plater, because that'll be the one that chokes me up. Plater, I'll be so choked up. I love that guy, and I'm so just a little sidetrack, but I am so thrilled. His updates lately, all of his stuff is going in the right direction, and it's like, oh, thank you, God.
Yeah, for a while there, things did not look good. Like, he was kind of absent from social media, and I was getting really worried about him. But I'm so happy that recently it looks like things may be a little bit better for him. So.
Oh yeah. All right, but yes, just chat is all. Everyone in chat is absolutely agreeing. The People's Princess. The people have spoken.
That hair. It's that blue hair.
It's, for me, what it is that she's number one, she's anti-slavery, which come on, that's pretty cool. And then number two, I don't care what you say, she is modeled after Inara from
yes, Marina Baccarin. Yes. I've said that so many times. Thank you. Thank you.
She is Inara. Zach Hudson is that dude that was in the Terminator movie.
He's Robert Patrick. Yep.
Yeah, that's him. Yep. And she is most definitely Inara from
Inara Sarah. Yeah.
Yes. And like, oof. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm on board. All right.
Agreed.
So awesome. I'm so glad. Now, before we wrap up the little interview section, and I hope that you guys are going to stay with us and continue on with all of the hijinks.
We'll hang out for a little while.
Sure thing.
Beautiful. But before we move on, is there anything that you guys wanted to hit? You wanted to plug? You wanted to whatever? Oh, you know what? We didn't. Every Monday, the new episode drops of Flight Assist. So go get it, and it's everywhere. I was looking for it every week on Apple. I was like, when are they gonna click approve? When are they? And as of like last week's, it was on. So it was like, yeah.
Yep, it is. It's now on, I think, everywhere except for Pandora. I think it's the only one that we haven't seen it pop on yet. So, every Monday it drops. Sometimes it's Monday afternoonish US time, but we usually try to get it out early morning so that it's, kind of early.
It's normally before
in the
yeah, UK, it's normally before I start my stream at 12. UK time. There will tend to be a podcast out unless we run into any sort of technical difficulties.
Beautiful. All right. Well, let's dive into the rest of the stuff. We're going to go straight from strength to strength, guys. Next up, we have the Dark Wheel update. All right. So just the short version, we're 3-0 in the election in Anyanwu and the invasion of HR 4979. We own LFT 926, and we're the highest percentage in Shinrarta Dezhra, although we're not allowed to own it because it's locked to the what is it? The Pilots Federation. Yeah, I was going to say the PF. So for the record, we're 3-0 in both conflicts. So we stick with it, and we should have won both the invasion and the election by tomorrow morning's tick. So in just a few hours. This is perfect time for us to boost the hell out of Anyanwu all weekend and get massive gains. The next jump from Anyanwu should put us, fingers crossed, just within sight of Seoul, and we're going to have one further jump to get to our super secret squirrel target location, which we're not going to say where it is just because we don't want people screwing us over. But from that location, the next expansion will be to test if we can slide into that empty slot. There's one space in Seoul that's reserved for somebody, and maybe it's us, maybe it's not. Who knows? Maybe it's set aside for future content of something, but we're going to test it. And either way, it's a beautiful thing to bring the Dark Wheel to the cradle of humanity. And from there, then we get to do the fun thing. This is what I know everybody really wants, which is to push to 509. This is the one that I'm excited for. I know you're excited for, but we had to get to Seoul first. That's the first goal. Then we're going to go see what happens in 509, the most interesting system in the galaxy all of a sudden. So join us, and let's see if something weird happens. Everybody jump in. What are your thoughts? Any input?
I just think it's a super exciting time. I mean, it's continued successes here, and we're like the next step is the next step where we're on the cusp of something to prove one of the major points of the experiment. So exciting times, and the supports continue to be strong. So that's really good to see.
Beautiful, Arson. I know you've been doing some stuff in the zones.
I have been doing a lot of stuff in the zones. I have been having a lot of fun. There's been a ton of community engagement. Lots of people joining up into voice on the Elite Week Discord, doing wings and the CZs mission running together. And then there's also you know, a lot of stuff happening where people are like, okay, we've done enough for our transactions for the day. Let's go do something else. You know, Thargoid hunting or doing
Yeah.
our Elite Week group that we did with some SAP 8 core tests and Thargoid EMPs that unfortunately failed. Like, there's all kinds of things going on. People really
Well,
should take a look.
that's the thing. There's no such thing as a failure in an experiment. It's either
Yeah.
you just you run it and you see what results you get, and everything that you mark off the list is one step closer to finding something that does do something. So
Yep.
it's all
That's
forward momentum.
I was going to say the same thing. I was going to say that was one of Thomas Edison's precepts was there is no such thing as a failure. All you've done is learned one more way something doesn't work that you thought it did. So you move on to the next one. So there's really no way to fail as long as you've learned something from the experience.
Right on. And there's been so many, I can't tell you how many different streamers. I mean, Plater last week did a stream on it, Scorbius, DH397, Admiral Flaps, like so many people I've seen, and they're like, yeah, we're just doing some stuff for the Dark Wheel, and it's like, oh my God, that's awesome, guys.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Anybody else have anything to add in on the Dark Wheel before we move on? All right. So next up, we've got the interview that I did with Frontier earlier in the week. It was Elite Week episode 24. If you have not heard it for some reason, or, you know, and you're hearing this, definitely go back and check out Elite Week episode 24. I don't know. I think it was a pretty interesting interview. I think I sort of took them into some deep waters, and we had some interesting conversations about things that are kind of a little sort of off the norm, off the sort of beaten path of interviews. Does anybody have anything that they were like, I thought this was interesting or that was interesting?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Roy.
I was going to say, it may be obvious, but I just think it's special that Arthur's like the pilot's community manager, you know, having played the game so long and having that perspective. And I thought it was especially interesting, you know, hearing how he compared the two, and especially, you know, I think part of it was there could be a tendency to say, well, this is how we have to explain how devs the challenges devs have or the challenge community managers have, and he went straight to, look, the responsibility of people playing the game is to enjoy the game. They shouldn't have the burden of understanding what's going on or having to make excuses or learn what's going on behind the curtain to feel good about things coming out. We should make them feel good about things coming out because we've done it properly, and I thought that was really refreshing.
For sure. I thought that was awesome. And Arthur tweeted me just like an hour or two ago. He was like, hey man, thank you so much. It was great. I would love to come on again. And I sent him back a message like, here's an open invite. Come whenever. All right. So Arson, what were your you had some stuff you wanted to say?
I was just going to throw in that I vastly appreciated the fact that the stance you took with the interview wasn't one of what about this feature and that feature and this feature. Getting a different stance and engaging the community managers on something that they could actually talk about was fantastic. I think that was one of the better interviews that I think I've ever seen. So definitely props to you for that, Kai.
Thank you, man. Thank you. Very, very cool. Did any of our guests have a chance to check it out?
I've not listened to it myself yet. It's on my listen. I typically don't have time to listen to podcasts during the week. I do them on the weekends.
Right
so
on.
That one will be on my list for probably tomorrow evening while I'm figuring out what to cook for dinner.
Nice. Yeah, that's the thing about our show is that it's very you can put it on an iPad or put it on on your phone or whatever, put it on the side, and while you're put the headphones in and while you're mowing the lawn or cooking dinner or doing whatever, it's there. All right. And I feel bad, like I'm putting people on the spot, but did Psykit? I don't want to like skip past you either.
No,
Psykit.
I listened to the first half of it.
Okay.
I haven't listened to all of it. Again, there is not enough time in the day at the moment. There was a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I find Arthur incredibly refreshing. I'm very excited about talking to him. And from what you've just said about like him, I did hear him say the thing about the community's job is to play the game, which is absolutely great. And I think what echoed with that kind of echoed the sentiment. We had Bruce on the podcast a couple of weeks back. And Bruce was saying very similar things about like being he was incredibly open, and it was really, really refreshing, and sort of pointing out how, yes, we know that there are things that need improving. And I think from sort of my experience when I've been dealing with the devs sort of historically through different sort of like frontier run programs with the larger player factions and those kind of things, it's very refreshing now to see people openly admitting that there are improvements to be made. I'm super positive about that.
Beautiful. Yeah. No, I it seems like their entire sort of philosophy is much more towards engagement now, and that's not to call out anybody that's come before. Part of it is the team and what they're putting forth. Part of it is also, just the fact that like it has to come from an area of they can only say what they're allowed to say. And I think that the corporation seems to be sort of aiming more towards an engagement sort of footing right now. And part of it, in fairness to Frontier, I'll say this: they had a massive leak. They had sort of a run of a couple of sort of bad sort of PR things with the way some of the stuff previous to that leak was sort of responded to. So it kind of made sense that they might have been on a little bit more of a defensive footing as of like a year ago or whatever. But I think they're coming out of that and they're moving more in an open way, and I totally dig that. I'm excited for what's to come. All right, let's move on to Slaughter Bowl. Slaughter Bowl is an SRV demolition derby that's happening on Sunday. In the show notes, we've got the Reddit link for the event. We've got there's a video that shows you where to get to the crater that the event is going to be in. It's one of those big, massive craters that's got the little anthill in the middle of it. And we also have the event Discord for the actual event. So this is just going to be everyone shows up, you bring an SRV, and you do your best to murder each other. It seems like it's going to be a fun time. Guys, any thoughts? Anybody planning on attending? Anybody got any thoughts on it?
I know Arson was planning on going to the endurance event. I might check out this Slaughter Bowl. I like that it's kind of like unlimited class. Like they're actively encouraging everyone to get premium synth on everything. It's no holds barred. It's going to be fun, I think. There's a little video also in the Reddit link that shows you how to get to the place. But it's pretty simple and looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. So,
yeah, it should be a kick-ass time. So we've got Arson, who's doing the long distance, high-tech race rally with like skill, and you're trying to shave seconds and you're trying to figure out your route. And then we've got Roy, who's like, I'm going to show up and shoot a guy in the face. Yep. Beautiful.
I am that guy.
Yes. Love the Amos lines. All of the Amos lines. All right. So check out Slaughter Bowl. Next up, we got Operation Ida. Operation Ida is mission complete. Now, this is information taken from the Reddit post of Black OA. In 2.5 years, in addition to repairing 146 stations, they made a bunch of friends along the way, took people inside a Thargoid structure, helped players get their Guardian modules, played Geyser hopscotch, and at the end, they literally, so the last 6 days, they were averaging more than a station a day. And literally on the last one, they did a thing where they had everybody lined up and it was almost sort of like an event. They emptied 25,000 tons of a fleet carrier in 15 minutes. That's just crazy. In addition to the link that we have with all of the information on this in the show notes, we also have the full station repair list that shows everything that they did over this time. Huge salute to Operation Ida. You guys are heroes, and take a break. Everybody enjoy your well-deserved rest, because stuff is coming soon and you're going to be back to work before you know it. All right, let's go around the horn. Roy, your thoughts on this?
I just thought that the focus they took in this, like Reddit post you mentioned, it wasn't just about, I mean, it's a grand effort to repair all those stations, but as in any effort that involves that many people, it's all about the relationships and friendships and all the fun times they had and all these other activities that got done along the way. So it's a huge kudos to them, and I'm sure it was a lot of treasured memories they're always going to remember. So good job.
Beautiful. Arson?
The 15-minute carrier unload blew my mind.
Good stuff. Yeah,
That's a
for
great
sure.
picture of it. Yeah.
All right, and let's start with Psykit. We're gonna mix it up here. You think we're gonna zig, but we zag. Psykit, what do you think?
I just think it's a great achievement for them. Personally, I don't think I've done any of Operation Ida, but I'm obviously aware there are people within my player faction that have done stuff for them, and they were even sort of dropping into my stream. I think they finished while I was streaming, and it was very cool. It was very cool. We had a little celebration and that kind of thing. I didn't really do the repairing the stations. I just got the revenge.
And I wanted to save Mal for last, because just last week when I hopped on his stream, he was doing a little Op Ida. So, yeah. Mal?
Yeah, I've done a few streams over the last year or so where we've helped out Operation Ida at various points, during their process, and it's I really like the fact that even though this is the end of their original mission, they realize, and this is kind of to echo a little bit of what's already been said, but they recognize they've built not just a group of people who completed a mission, but a community. So they're fully prepared to look for other ways to be of benefit to the game outside of stations. Like if stations happen to not get damaged anymore, they're already looking at what else can we do as a community to help benefit the game in the same way that we did with the stations that need to be repaired. So it's really nice to kind of like look back on all those accomplishments and say, I only probably moved a total of, 10,000, 15,000 tons worth of cargo myself. But that's the beauty of it. It took all of us together, each moving 1,000, 2,000, 10,000, 100,000 tons worth of cargo to repair all 146 stations. Everybody had to do their own little part.
Yeah, it takes a village to raise a station.
There you go.
Okay, so look, first off, yes, hats off to Ida. You guys are amazing. In this era of, we've got the hot new thing is communities are, like, what's that song? Sisters are doing it for themselves. Communities are doing it for themselves. We've got the Dark Wheel thing that we're doing. The AXI is doing their CCCG. In this era of all of this stuff, it's easy to forget. If you look back, you do have the AXI for a long time has been doing their thing. You've got the Hull Seals, you've got the Fuel Rats, you've got Operation Ida. These are the OG. We make our own stuff, and huge salute to them. What I would love to see, because they're going to get back to work soon. Give it a couple of weeks and there's going to be stations for them to deal with. But in between now and then, I would love to see them turn into a sort of a galactic FEMA of like, oh, this system's in drought. You see like 9 carriers show up and just boom, unload water. This system has a outbreak. There goes the medicines. You know what I mean?
That's a really good idea.
It wouldn't surprise me if they
make
did
it
something
entirely
like
possible.
Yeah. What's that, Psykit?
It wouldn't surprise me if they did something like that for sure.
Yeah, it would be on brand for them.
Well, big salute and lots of love for those guys because they rock. All right. Next up, we've got the Frontier announcements. We had 3 of them this week, interestingly enough. The first The Tim Smith mystery is resolved. We talked about this last week. You know, we told you for sure he's doing something else, and you know how Frontier does. They keep their stuff secret. You know, Will was, you know, moved on to product management for a good month or two before we got to the point that they sort of announced it. But we knew something was up with Tim, and now we know what. Tim has moved on to be the lead CM for the Planet Coaster, Planet Zoo, and Jurassic thing of the thing. And Elite's loss is Tim's gain. There you go. You brought it up and have it right there on the screen. Elite's loss is Tim's gain. He's and they're those companies' games. He's going to kill it over there. We love you and miss you. Please still stop by and talk coffee with us because you are awesome. So stop by. Don't forget us now that you've moved on to the lovely ladies of Jurassic World Evolution and Planet Zoo and Planet Coaster. He's over there with Shantae and what? Jens? Yeah. But we're getting Paul. And Paul, if you remember, he does a lot of stuff. He's more, I think, focused on the sort of the forum side of it and whatnot. But if you remember from back in the day, like long ago, early in the Elite times, there were some streams that he was involved in, and he has been a long time Elite Dangerous player. So, and I know that he plays. He's you know, he's in on the game. So that's something to look forward to. But just, you know, we break the news first, but eventually that they announce it to everybody, and so now everybody knows. And big salute to Tim, and good luck on everything to come. I'm going to just hit the other 2 points, and then we're going to just do a round robin discussion on all 3 things. Second is the free Tritium top up. This was Thursday, July 23rd at 3 p.m. UTC. They did it. They sort of did it as a surprise announcement. It was one of those things where they're like, hey guys, in an hour or two, we're going to be doing what do you call it? A gift, a thing. We're going to fill up your Tritium. This is to help those people that are distressed, that are, you know, out in the black and they got stuck or whatever. We're going to give them a full top up, and we'll go with that. They had said that this was obviously in response to, they knew that there's problems with Tritium post the .3 patch, and they said they'll be sort of getting to it ASAP, soon PM. And the third announcement follows on with that. There was last night, Arthur posted a note saying the .4 patch announcement will be coming tomorrow. Look for it tomorrow. We didn't get it yet, and it's past tomorrow. It's the next day already in ye olde Englandy. But here's the thing: they can't roll it back without making things worse than they are already, because people would lost all the stuff that they did. You know, Operation Ida, they wouldn't be mission complete. The people that we wouldn't be getting ready to sweep day 4 of the invasion and whatever, we would have lost the last week of everything in the game. And that would, if you want to talk about salt, there would be people setting things on fire at that point. So that's not an option. And obviously this thing is a tricky one. It's an issue that for some reason on their end is tricky. And I'm not a developer. I'm not a programmer. I don't know how all that stuff works. So all I can tell you is they obviously know that this is a problem. This is obviously embarrassing for them. They gave you a gift of topping up your Trit tank. And I know that there's going to be some people that's not enough. That only got me a little bit. Okay. But they're obviously working on this very, very, very hard. I would say expect patch notes Monday, expect the patch Tuesday. They are working on this with everything that they have. And from the interview that we did last week, I can tell you these guys, their heart is breaking over this patch going so wrong. They very bluntly and very, very directly said, all right, this screwed up. We screwed it up. We're trying to fix it. We really are not happy with this. This is our baby. We do not want this to be a case where people are unhappy. We're trying, we're working extra hours. We're doing everything that we can. So So that's where we're at with the Frontier announcements. Let's start with the guest first, and we'll work our way back up. So how about we start with Mal for the win? Your thoughts on these 3 announcements?
Pass. No, I'm just kidding. I think I'm glad to hear that there's a little bit of shuffling going around with Tim and Paul. I think it'll be community management has a very low retention rate. People don't stick around a lot. They tend to not stay with one company for a long time. So what I'm hoping is, if this is an indication that they are open at Frontier to moving people between community teams, it might mean that what we see is, even though we don't see the same people on the same teams, they might shuffle around a little bit, which would keep them at Frontier longer, which I think would be good for us as gamers.
Good for cohesion as well.
Yeah. It'll be good for them as a team too, and they'll be able to say, "Hey, listen, I'm not sure about this. Let me check with Tim. I know he was on Elite for the last X number of months. He probably has the answer." So it may create a little bit of communication between the teams as well. I think you're right about the patch. I think they're probably just busy. And when it comes down to it, would you rather have patch notes released on time, or the patch itself released on time and the notes come a little bit late? I think I'd rather go ahead and have them work on that patch. Would it be nice to get it communicated? Yeah, but again, it is what it is. The Tritium top up, I think was a great idea. My only complaint about it is they said we're going to be topping off your tanks in just a few minutes here.
Yeah.
I wish they had given us a little more time so that those people who had Tritium in their tanks could have gone ahead and made a couple more jumps, knowing they were going to get that refill. That's the only thing, the only criticism I can really provide, because I think you're right. It wasn't aimed at the people with full tanks. It was aimed at the people who were out there stuck and didn't have a way to get any further. So
fair. All right, Psykit, your thoughts on these announcements?
Community management. Yeah, he. I get it. Tim went for Bo's old job and got it, so that's great. Good for him. So they need to fit it in with somebody else, which is perfectly fine. With regard to the Tritium, I agree with Mal in that they could have given a little bit more notice, because I found out maybe half an hour before it actually happened. But also with regard to the patch as well, if we don't get a patch by Tuesday, if there's not a patch by Tuesday, there's an awful lot of explorers out there waiting for something. I really feel like they're going to need to potentially pop another just helpful Tritium refill, because what's that, 4 jumps? If we're lucky, like four jumps for them. So I just don't know whether that was entirely sufficient given the notice that was provided, especially for the people who are stranded out in the black. And especially for people who have been stranded out in the black with their fleet carrier and have gone, okay, right, I will suicide back to the bubble. And who still don't have the functionality to move Tritium from their storage to their depot, please make it happen at some point. So that at the moment, those ships are out there, with 1,000 extra fuel, or with a full tank, being able to jump 4 places, and these people still have to go back out to them. I mean, those are probably like slim cases and everything, but it's still. I don't know. It felt a little bit of an empty gesture for those people who were stuck out in the black.
I had to mute myself while I laughed really hard when you mentioned about the fuel hose issue, because like that was the one thing during the Super Friendos interview or whatever that I was like, this needs to be stop. I have a crew. I pay them millions of dollars.
Yeah.
Why can they not? Why does Daddy have to be here? Like what? I have to land. Are you telling me I have to land an F-14 on the fleet carrier and you run a hose from the fleet carrier's cargo to my or from the aircraft carrier to my F-14, fill up my tank, and then run another hose to empty it back out into another place on the aircraft carrier? What? Yeah. But, here's a thought, Psykit. What about this? Just turn off fuel for the fleet carriers for whatever, a week. If this is a situation where it's like, guys, this is harder than we thought. I'm sorry, this is a oopsie. We got to fix it. We're gonna get on it, right? Just turn off. Just make all fleet carrier jumps free for a week. Who cares? Like, it's not gonna hurt anything. It's you're not generating any real income off of, whatever. It's just and it just kind of gives a little freebie to the DSSA people who it's like, hey man, I got to do 18 jumps. I got to do 30 jumps. They're going to be doing them all. Just look, this was a weird thing. It happened. I'm sorry. It hurt. We broke a thing by accident. We stopped you from being able to play the game you love. You're stuck out in Jabip, and we're going to just here, take, what do you need? 20 jumps for free? Here, take them. Just go and be well. We'll fix it next week, and when we do, we'll turn it back on, and then your jumps are going to cost again. So whatever. But just for now, here's a little free thing. Here's a little goodwill. We're sorry for the inconvenience. If you go to a hotel and I don't know, something weird happens. You go to a hotel and it's, you walk in there and the hotel room stinks. It reeks of weed or something. They're going to be like, we're going to move you to another room, and we're comping the night. Your night's for free. Enjoy. They're going to give you some sort of goodwill gesture. I don't think it would really break anything or hurt anybody. If they can fix it by Tuesday, okay, great. If they can't, just give people free jumps. Who cares?
So yeah, that's a really lovely idea. I think Arthur touched on that when you were talking to him earlier in the week. He touched on, like, lots of people come to them with those sort of solutions without realizing that it's a little bit more complicated than that. And I think if they were able to go, okay, you've got 18 free jumps, then they would potentially have done that rather than just changing a figure or a global figure saying, okay, all tritium is now 1,000, which to me seems like a much easier in like the grand scheme of how the mechanics of the fleet carrier. It seems like it would be a lot easier to change that number than go, okay, yep, now everything is free.
Yeah, I'm just, the only thing that I would point out is if they have the ability to do a global all tritium is at 1,000, they could literally just set it to refresh every 2 hours.
Oh yeah, that's a. I
Yeah,
wonder
I've
what the
got-
mechanic is
go
on
ahead.
that. No, I was just kind of like mulling over that. Like, I wonder how hard that would be to change.
Just
I think like just they clearly had to manually go in and do it because they said that it would be around 3 o'clock. So it has to be a manual intervention. So it's not something that they can go, okay, we're gonna make sure that this triggers every hour or so. We're gonna put it all back to 1,000. However, maybe in every couple of days, somebody could have it scheduled on their calendar to just give us another 1,000 just while we're waiting, as well.
Oh,
yeah. Just for them.
What about this? What about, I'm looking and saying, oh, I got chocolate over here, I got peanut butter over there. Let's put them together. We got a lot of Operation Ida guys that are currently on furlough. Let's everybody in the bubble hop in cutters and Type 9s. We'll go and deal with whatever we have to do to obtain the tritium. And then let's just have the DSSA people post in one place, have it like broadcasted on Anara. And then it'll be like the Jaunt to Jax, where, we're just a line of ants marching out into the blue yonder. We'll just go out and hit carrier after carrier and fill them up and get the DSSA boys where they need to be.
I mean, that's not a bad idea.
I think
the problem at the moment is the supply. There's also, it's not just the fact that it's difficult to mine. There were station supply is a bit rubbish as well.
There are some places where you can still get. I mean, it's not the cheap. The 4K ones have sort of gone away, but the quote unquote expensive ones, which, like, I'm sitting on an extra 45 billion liquid assets. I'll donate it. You want what? 10 billion? Okay, whatever. Like,
I'd like to chime in on the
sure.
supply issue real quick. Um, Having watched Inara for the prices when that patch dropped, one of the things that I noticed was the supply is there, but what everybody's seeing for tritium supply, they're all going after the 5K purchase price, and when you go and do that, the second it shows up, um, on Inara, you've got people rushing out there to go drain it. So one of the stations that popped up had 240,000 units of tritium supply. That station was dried up in a couple of hours. And the point there is they implemented the supply and demand, which personally I really think was needed for the economy, but they need to do something about how quickly it produces. But with having participated in the tritium market very, very heavily since it's dropped in, with the amount of people that are out there trying to make, their, 500% profit per run to a carrier in orbit or to a neighboring system, uh, you know, they're buying up that tritium really quick. And while that kind of sucks that if you don't get it at the start, it's realistic now in the fact that before, supply available at a station was just, okay, you can buy this many tons at a time. By the time you get back to the station, no matter how many people are doing it, it's resupplied. But now, uh, that supply, once it's consumed, it's consumed.
Tritium Fairy's gone bad.
Oh man.
Creative monster. I felt really bad for Arthur during that interview because he was so he was saying the right things, and I don't mean that in a snarky way. I mean, like, he was genuinely expressing the things you would want someone in that position to say, especially from a leadership role within that group. And yet it was juxtaposed by they had just put out this really troublesome patch. Um, and I'm hopeful that whoever they move around from one team to the other, they've got a coherent strategy. They've got a good set of values around how they're managing community management.
Mm.
I just think that's it. I was encouraged by what I heard from him around that. So I have no worries about who they move where. I trust that they're doing those things for the right reasons.
That's when you need your best people, though. I mean, when everything's great, you can have a sort of screw up, placeholder just hanging out, and it's not that big a deal because everything is whatever. When the chips are down is when you need those men and women that are going to
Yes.
step up to the plate and get it done. So
Yeah. I would also say that, and I think this is starting a bit on what Psykit was mentioning, is the thing they did is probably the best thing they could do, given the time they had and whatever complexities there are behind the curtain of whatever might have been a better idea. This is what they could do quickly, the free tritium thing. And I like Mal's suggestion about, like, even some notice would have been great. You know what? They can give notice the next time, and
sure.
I'm guessing there'll be a next time. This is the one tool they've got that now they know works. This may be the only thing. And yes, there's unintended consequences, but this is the tool they chose, and there's lots of ways to creatively use it to keep things rolling. I don't know that I would expect much more complexity to come through in a solution until there's a patch. So I'd be looking for creative ways to use the free tritium top up, whether it's a scheduled thing or they just give people notice, or they let people know they're going to keep doing this for some frequency until the problem's fixed.
I mean, I don't think we're looking at that far off. The fact that Arthur would not have said last night, "Hey, expect a patch notes tomorrow," if they weren't at least at that point in the ballpark of, okay, we have an idea and whatever. Now, maybe it could sometimes be like, all right, we got to fix. We think this is going to work. Oh, nope, we're back to square one. That could be a thing.
Yeah. To paraphrase him, it's like it's not done till it's done, and you don't know what things could make it go sideways at the last minute.
Yeah, man. So the actual sort of the actual there's a high likelihood that it was just a matter of, okay, we think we got it, we're close. All right, it's going to be a little bit, behind. It's whatever. Okay, it moved from, okay, the patch is going to be out Friday to the patch notes are going to be out Friday too. well, we didn't quite get it nailed down. We're gonna whatever. They got the weekend to work on it and expect it Monday. I think honestly we're gonna get the patch notes Monday. We're gonna get the patch Tuesday. If we don't, I 100% agree. You know, let's go ahead and keep rolling those. So it's kind of, I hate to say it, but it's kind of like this the sort of stimulus checks with COVID or whatever of like, all right, this is a thing. This is unfortunate. You're dealing with it. Here's a way we can help. And you know what? Let's bring up another thing. I was going to save this for State of the Game, but let's just bring it up now and get it over with because we're on the Tritium, and I want to get this done and get Tritium behind us. I've seen some sort of responses from people with regard to the Tritium that was kind of along the lines of like, well, but I didn't get, you guys got Tritium, and I didn't get Tritium because my tank is full. Let me say something. My tank was 100% full when this rollout went in. So I got 0 Tritium. Okay. Who cares? This to complain that you didn't get something would be like Bill Gates saying he didn't get a stimulus check. You don't need it. It's not for you. If your tank was full, it's not for you. It's for those people that are stranded out in the black. If you're in the bubble and you're sitting there with, whatever, 5 tons, 8 tons of tritium in your hold where you've got a full tank and extra, this wasn't for you. You're fine. Move on with your life. If you look at the actual amount, the credit value of the tritium that you would have received, you're talking about a pittance. If you can afford a fleet carrier, you're talking about, oh man, this is the price of a federal gunship. Who cares? This was the point of this was not about we're going to give everybody money and everybody has to get the equal amount. The point of this is, oh my God, we feel so bad for you guys that are stranded. Here's an emergency relief fund. Here's a thing that we can do to help right now. So like, I didn't get anything. I'm sure there's plenty of other people that didn't get much or didn't get anything, or there's other people that, didn't have a fleet carrier. They don't get anything. It's not for you. It's for the people that were stranded. So please don't be petty right now. And like, it's a thing. I can see it's like a 3-year-old. Oh, they got a toy. I need a toy. Well, it's their birthday. They get a toy because it's their birthday. You don't get a toy. It's not your birthday. In this case, they get some gas because they were stranded on the side of the highway. If your car already has a full tank, you're not in need of emergency assistance. And I understand, though, that there is a certain aspect of equity and whatever, but this isn't about equity. This was about assisting those in dire need. Anybody have anything they want to hop in on that before we close out the subject? Nope. All right. So let's rock on. The next thing, and for this, hold on. This is going to require a little something. Next thing up, we've got the Frontier stream. This was the stream from yesterday. In this stream, they had take 2 on the Matariki Tiki tour. And there was a little Panther Clipper oopsie. But I'm going to need to get ready for this. So we've got the video in the show notes queued up to the exact time. I'm going to go ahead and just give you a paraphrase of it, though, right now. This is, quote, word for word, what was said. 17 minutes and 58 seconds in. Question. Panther Clipper when? Question mark. Stephen, so that question was from that English gent. Answer from Stephen Benedetti, Frontier Community Manager. We don't have anything to announce about Odyssey at this time, but we will shout it from the rooftops when we do. Now, therefore, either Panther Clipper is a part of Odyssey, or that answer makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. You decide. I know that MalForTheWin has an interesting little addendum to that, with his thought that he shared before we started. So, Mal, why don't you hop in?
I do. I think it's a very interesting answer because my thought would be this is like what we're used to seeing from lawyers and politicians on TV in the US, right? It's a very obfuscating answer that says to me, I have this feeling when the question is Panther Clipper and they say we don't have anything to announce about Odyssey, but we'll let you know what we do. Makes me think. I wonder if Panther Clipper is somehow involved, but the Odyssey thing is just a red herring. It's a look over here when really maybe some new ships are going to be part of the trickling content leading up to Odyssey. Like that would make me really happy. I'm just saying, I don't know that that's what it's going to be, but boy, would it be interesting, because if it was no Panther Clippers ever coming, I feel like they would say Panther Clipper will never be a thing. Like because they have shown they are totally okay with telling us, yeah, that's never going to happen. Now, of course, they said that about Elite Feet, so you know. But that's my feeling, is like I hear that statement and I see that response and I'm like, oh, there's they didn't like that question.
So
that was a political answer.
I have two comments on your answer and your theory. That the first is that I want to have your babies. And the second is, ladies and gentlemen, this answer was brought to you by Tinfoil for all your hat needs.
Correct. For all of your hatting needs.
All right, Psykit, your thoughts.
My thoughts. I am incredibly confident that the Panther Clipper that everybody expects is not the Panther Clipper that we're going to get in the game. Whether there is going to be don't sound so disappointed. Whether there is going to be something that is Panther Clipper-esque. I think they're all any new ships are going to be part of the Odyssey expansion. I personally don't think we're going to see any new ships for another 6 months. You've had your fleet carriers, now shut up and drink your gin kind of thing. We're not. I think the content that we're going to get is going to be more external and more community driven than getting a ship before it starts. That's my gut feeling.
Super interesting. I think so. Psykit is basically singing, you can't always get the Panther Clipper that you want.
You're not going to get it.
But if you try,
it's not happening. It's not happening. So don't get super excited about it. I think, yes, he looked at Panther Clipper and went, yeah, I'm done with listening to this question. And I'm just going to roll out my, we're not going to give you any more information about Odyssey until later. I'll quite happily be proven wrong, and I will eat my words, but I genuinely don't think that we're going to get any more ships until the next expansion.
Okay. All right. I will roll out one other thought, and this is just from the standpoint of like rolling it back, dialing it back a little, because on the one hand, just if you look at what was said there, Panther Clipper when we can't discuss anything about Odyssey right now. To me, like I said, it's if you just look at a transcript and you're reading it out in a deposition with lawyers, they're going to say this very clearly says you can't talk about Odyssey in response to Panther Clipper, therefore Panther Clipper is part of Odyssey. But in fairness, I'm going to say that job, talking live on a stream, as I'm doing now, I say 10 stupid things every show. Okay? Keep in mind, this is Steven. In this exact same live stream, he said something to the effect of, and then there's Sol, which is, of course, the name we have for Earth. No, it's not. Terra is Earth. Sol is a star that's in our system. It is the solar system. But so there's a chance that he just sort of is so preconditioned to tell him you can't talk about Odyssey. Tell him you can't talk about Odyssey. They ask a question about something. You can't talk about Odyssey. There's a chance that he just made that sort of slip, that it wasn't a Freudian slip. It was I'm live streaming, that's hard, and probably looking through notes and responding to stuff and whatever. So there's a chance. But let's move on to Arson. What do you think on this issue?
So what I think about it is, I'm very much in the camp that it's probably just a slip up with the conditioning that you were talking about. I do want to mention that I completely agree with Psykit on the you're not going to get the Panther Clipper you want, and I cite the Diamondback as the example because I have yet to see concept art for Ship and Elite that hit the game looking like it. And when I looked at the Diamondback, in my wishful thinking, I was like, "Oh, it's going to be a medium ship. Hopefully, it might be a competitor to the Python, but for exploration, it was so beautiful." And then we got a small ship that looked nothing like the concept art, and I was super disappointed. And I think Psykit's right that the Panther Clipper is not going to be that big beastly thing that we see. It's going to look different, I would wager. Um, but at the same time, I also think that there's a chance that that might have been a. Ooh, is it an Odyssey? I hope, because I've been wanting it forever.
Arson, if you try sometime, you just might find you get the Panther Clipper that you need. All right,
there you go.
We're gonna close this out with Big Daddy Roy. Roy, hit us with drop some knowledge bombs.
So I've watched the clip a few times, and it kind of reminded me of that trope where the prosecuting attorney talks to the person on the witness stand and says, "Would you please tell the court how often you beat your wife?" It's a leading question that presupposes it can trick a person because they don't unpack sort of the counterintelligence here. And I think this happened so quickly. The question, and it was almost like a light switch went off where even from his body language, he just flipped straight into giving a stock answer about something without, I'm going to speculate, without having time to process, am I giving something away about Odyssey by giving the Odyssey answer to this question when it wasn't in the question? They didn't ask, is the Panther Clipper coming with Odyssey, right? So that's the cognitive gap there. It's speculation. There's definitely like I said, it was in the moment. I don't think he had enough time to think about it. I think you could read into it that there's an obvious association with Odyssey.
All right, so that's where we land with it. Lots of different thoughts. We'll see how it plays out. You will as well. Let's move on. Next up, we've got the ION Initiative. The ION Initiative is the Inner Orion Network. This is the new project by the pilot, he of ship review fame. It's a player-made GALNET read out by the GALNET voice, the in-game ship, announcer lady, computer, GLaDOS type voice. And it's on YouTube. So if you want to see a, go to a YouTube channel and subscribe to it and kind of check to see what your sort of daily, because it drops several times a week, see what the sort of news is. They'll talk about, Slaughter Bowl is happening at this location. Operation Ida, congratulations to you for completing yada yada. It's a neat little thing. I would love to see it I would love to see it supported in game. I would love to see. Ooh, whoa! I want a show with like a talented programmer, computer type dude, Mal. I would love to see you create like a thing, right? Like how EDMC, ED Market Connector, right? Connects in the game. I would love to see the ability for people in game to just click on a little box somewhere and it brings up and it says, okay, we've got a new ION news. You can and just play it. It sounds the same. Just pull it, stream it from YouTube or whatever into your cockpit while you're flying around. Here's an ION news. Oh, and while we're at it, there's a new Flight Assist podcast. Do you want to listen to MalForTheWin and Psykit interview David Braben this week and blah blah blah? Or there's a new live radio, or there's a new guard frequency, or there's even these weird Americans that do a show called Elite Week, and you can just like stream it while you go. Wouldn't that be cool?
That's definitely doable. The easiest way to do it would be as an EDMC plugin. It would just be some Python script. I can actually, I'll do that. I'll reach out to the pilot and see if he has plans to do any sort of like ION plugin for EDMC that would just basically be a media player where you could be like, kind of like how the old GALNET was, where you could do this week, or you could go back one article, forward one, forward one.
Mm.
I mean, it wouldn't be tough to do. It's just a media player. So
see, this is what I mean about Mal, is that he's got a lot of work that he's doing at the moment. As soon as you mention something,
We found his
there he
kryptonite.
Well, see, we found everybody's talent. My talent is coming up with an idea that I then dump off on people and run away. And Mal's talent is getting all the work done. So that's a
and
division.
Psykit's talent is scheduling and promoting it, because everybody wants to know what Psykit is doing and what she's up to. She is the voice of what is smart to be doing in the world of Elite.
Yeah. The trendsetter.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Crikey.
All right, so let's just hop in, everybody. We'll start with Roy. We'll go down the list. Roy, what are your thoughts on ION? Have you checked it out yet?
Yeah, I did. I thought it was a good idea. Let's just start with that. And yeah, definitely, if Mal can get it integrated into the game, that'd be awesome.
Right.
In the most recent one, I was touched by the story with the cult of the Sharknado that was making tribute to Grant Imahara. I mean, I thought that was great. I thought that was great.
Don't even start on Grant. That Grant Imahara, like him passing, was like, no, what the hell, man?
That's what I mean, right? It's like that could be a long discussion and well worth it. And I just thought it was a great way to make a sort of a touching tribute. And yeah, I just thought it was really cool the way they did it.
Nice. Arson.
So I personally feel like it is not far off for Frontier making it possible in game. And here's how I would do it. If I was Frontier, I would expose the in-game playlist that we have on our right HUD as a text file similar to the visited stars data, where there are tools out there that you can use to put different stars in that than you've actually visited, so that you can see certain things on the map. But you could then take it to where you have a plugin in something like EDMC that then goes in and points that playlist to things, and then your computer is able to basically see, oh, you have new things in your playlist, and you can have autoplay in game turned on. And similar to what EVE Online did, they had an interface where you could play any of the tracks from the game soundtrack, but you could also point it towards a folder that contained MP3s. You could then have ED Market Connector go down and grab MP3 copies of, say, all of these podcasts and news articles and what have you, right onto the computer, and have the Elite client say, okay, you were playing and you were at minute 53 of 78, and you paused and quit the game, and then you came back later, and then you resumed your playlist from there. Bam. Feature complete.
I dig it. And you know what? While I'm running through the list of things we need to do, before you get that crap show Elite Week, and before you get, Lave Radio, maybe not before Flight Assist, that one's pretty good, but make sure you get Galnet News Digest by Commander Wotherspoon, the best Elite Dangerous weekly news show. So just wanted to add that plug. All right, let's move down to MalForTheWin. Your thoughts on ION, other than you just being an awesome dude and offering to do all kinds of crazy stuff that I couldn't do in a million years.
I really like it. I really like the idea of community cultivated content, in addition to just the overall idea that this is yet another example of the Elite community saying, Frontier, we liked Galnet. It didn't seem like a big deal, but there are a lot of us out there who really felt it was helpful for immersion. It was helpful for lore. It was helpful to make the galaxy feel like an alive place. And Frontier said, we can't do that anymore. And so the community went, that's okay. We got your back. And they figured out a way to, somebody took point on it. And, the pilot has said, okay, I'm going to start producing this as community generated content. So I think that's just how the Elite community is, and it's one of the things I really like about it.
What kind of loser would go to Frontier and say, we want Galnet back? God.
Me.
Oh, I was making a little joke there because I wrote a little thing on the forums that a couple people. Yeah. All right, Psychic, your thoughts on Ion?
I haven't listened to it.
Okay.
I don't really have any thoughts about it.
Okay, no worries. But it's an interesting thing, so maybe check it out, guys.
Oh yeah, I fully intend to.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Go ahead.
I will say, I guess I will add my actual thoughts on Ion because I just talked about that feature thing. I've listened to several episodes, and I think my favorite part about it is the personality. It's almost exactly like listening to Galnet. I will say that, not just because of the voice, but because of the format and structure of the articles. But the personality and kind of interaction that the narrating voice has with the subjects of the article is also really hilarious as well, and makes it even more worth the listen than Galnet ever was, to be honest.
Okay. Well, there you go. Check it out, guys. All right. Now we're moving on to the real life science porn. This is going to be the super nerdy bit that some of you guys that are like, I just want to fly spaceships and do pew-pews might not be into, but I am super into it. So we're going to cover it. All right. There are 3 missions that are going to Mars right now. As we speak, there are 3 missions that are happening. One is pre-launch. The other 2 are post-launch. Let's talk about them. So, first off, we've got the American mission to Mars, and it's called Mars 2020, which, let me say something. After you hear the Chinese mission and the United Arab Emirates mission name, you're going to think, man, the Americans need to step up their naming game just a little bit. Mars 2020 is cool, but let's talk about it. Mars 2020 is a Mars rover mission by NASA's Mars Exploration Program that includes the Perseverance rover, with the planned launch on July 30th, 2020. So coming up in the next 5 days at 11:50 UTC. And touchdown, it's scheduled to touchdown in the Dezhra crater on Mars on the 18th of February, 2021. So like 7 months, flight. It will investigate an astrobiologically relevant ancient environment on Mars and investigate its surface geological processes and history, including the assessment of its past habitability, the possibility of past life on Mars, and the potential for preservation of biosignatures within the accessible geological materials. So it's going to go like puttering around from spot to spot, and it's got all of these little cache containers that they're going to drop in certain like pickup locations for future missions. Mars 2020 mission was announced by NASA on the 4th of December 2012 at the fall meeting of the American Geophysical Union in San Francisco. The Perseverance rover design is derived from the Curiosity rover that everybody used to love watching the videos of, and will use many components already fabricated and tested. New scientific instruments include a core drill, and it also has Ingenuity, which is a helicopter drone that it's a very cool little, it's like a drone that launches off of the rover. And so it's going to do a little tag team mission there, which is super, super cool. Next up, we have the China Mars mission, which is called Heavenly Questions, Tianwen 1, which means Heavenly Questions. Is an interplanetary mission to Mars by the China National Space Administration to send a robotic spacecraft, which consists of an orbiter, a lander, and a rover. The mission was successfully launched from the Wenchang spacecraft launch site just on the 23rd of July, just a couple days ago, with a Long March 5 heavy lift rocket, and is currently en route to Mars. Its stated objectives are to search for evidence of both current and past life, and to assess the planet's environment. The name Tianwen, which means heavenly questions or questions of heaven, come from the long poem of the same name written by Ku Yan, one of the greatest poets of ancient China, from about like 300 BC. So there's links to both the Mars 2020 mission and the Tianwen 1, the Heavenly Questions mission from China, to the Wikipedia for both of them. Look into those. The third mission is the first mission, really space mission by the United Arab Emirates. It is the UAE Mars mission called HOPE, or what is it? Al-Amal in their language. The Emirates Mars mission is an uncrewed space exploration mission to Mars, which launched the HOPE Al-Amal orbiter on the 19th of July. So just, whatever, in the last 10 days or so, 2020, at 9:58 UTC. It was sponsored by Mohammed bin Rashid Space Center and United Arab Emirates Space Agency, and manufactured by the University of Colorado Boulder, Arizona State University, and the University of California, Berkeley. The probe will study daily and seasonal weather cycles, weather events in the lower atmosphere, such as dust storms, and how the weather varies in different regions on Mars. It will attempt to answer the scientific question of why Martian atmosphere is losing hydrogen and oxygen into space, and the reason behind the drastic climate changes on Mars. The mission is being carried out by a team of Emirati engineers, in collaboration with foreign research institutions, and is a contribution towards the knowledge-based economy in the UAE. HOPE is scheduled to reach Mars in February of 2021. So basically, all three missions, we're in every 2 years or so. There's a brief window of about a month and a half at the most. And in that sort of window is the prime time to get the transit orbit, so that there's a thing when you go from Earth to Mars, you want to take off at a certain time so that you plan it out to where it makes it sort of the shortest distance from takeoff to landing, and the sort of highest probability of a success window of those two. And we're at the sort of early end, and you always want to try to aim your schedule for your launches at the beginning of that window, just in case you have horrific luck with weather and whatnot, and you have to postpone a week or postpone 2 days or 3 days, then another week, then 2 days, and whatever. This is sort of how it's done. You don't want to miss that window, and now you're dealing with lower probability of success and longer time and more work to get it done. So we're at that point, and this is so beautiful, man. This is in a time where on Earth we're still having issues with sort of, not everybody playing nice all of the time. The UAE here, the United Arab Emirates, chunked down a ton of money to get, a Japanese rocket with a bunch of components on the late stage device being built by the University of Colorado and Arizona State and California, Berkeley, UC California, Berkeley. And this is like, and they named it, HOPE. And this, they're not, in this case, I got to give them a lot of credit, because they're not going for the sexy thing of like, we're going to put a little scooter down there and roll too. Their mission is, their ship is going to be orbiting Mars for years, collecting climate data and sending back data that is going to help the world, everyone, sort of with the next steps. America and China have two sort of similar missions. I think the Chinese mission seems to be more ambitious in scope, but we're both sort of putting down in two different spots and searching, and we're both clearly searching for life. The Chinese come right out and publicly say they're looking for current life and past life. Now, I want to be clear. When they say they're looking for current life, I'm not saying they're looking for little green men. They're looking for microbes. They're looking for, dust particles that might have some sort of like, some version of like microbial or viral or whatever life. But we're also both searching in crater locations for like, oh wow, this may be, we might find some rocks that have some geological samples that show, a fossil of a thing or whatever that was there, 800 million years ago, or who knows, whatever. But yeah, I've talked for a long time with my science stuff, and now let's go around the horn. We're going to start with the guests. Mal, do you want to go first with your thoughts on all this?
Yeah, it's a really exciting time. I had the the opportunity to go. I've always loved space since I was a kid, you know, and I had the opportunity to actually go to space camp 2 summers during the height of the shuttle program, right before the Challenger accident. And I've just always loved everything to do with getting feet off of the planet and getting us. And these missions are the first steps towards getting humans to actually set foot on Mars. This is all of these efforts have a nod towards what's going on the moon right now, towards the Artemis missions, towards in the next 5 to 10 years, trying to get people as far from our planet as we possibly can. So it's really exciting. The China mission and the UAE mission, I think, have already launched, right? Both of those have launched.
They're both en route.
Psykit and I are actually co-streaming the launch of the Perseverance rover.
Beautiful.
And MalForTheWin and Dogs of Lore are both engraved on the dedication plaque. Our community is one of the 10.9 million names that are engraved on that rover. So
nice.
We wanted to make sure that we got to watch that live. So Psykit's going to host me, and we're gonna have it up live. So if anybody wants to stop by, it'll be fun, I guess.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It'll be a blast, man.
It's going to be really early for you, Mal.
I'll have to take like extra caffeine pills and coffee and Red Bull. And...
Beautiful. All right, Psykit.
Yeah, I'm just super excited. We're living in a really exciting time for space exploration right now. I hope in our lifetime we get to see at least like those next steps, those steps to Mars and all of that those sort of things even begin to come to fruition. That would be amazing. But even being in these exciting times now with this new wave of everything that's happening, I'm super pumped for it. Really, really excited.
Beautiful. Arson.
Can I say modern space race? Because that's what I feel like we're having. Obviously not with so much the hostility, because we have a lot of nations working together, but I definitely feel like we're back in that step where we should have never stepped back from. And the excitement from myself and from others obviously is insanely palpable. All I can say is I can't wait to watch. Beyond that, I can't do anything else but gush.
Dude, that is a beautiful sentiment. I love the idea of, instead of a competitive space race, a collaborative space race where, like, yeah, I dig that. That's awesome, man. Roy, hit us with the knowledge bomb.
Well, I'm also a space geek from way back, and I had my name and everybody in my immediate family that I could convince that was interested in it put their name on the InSight lander.
Oh, nice.
It's already on Mars, and a couple of others. But look, any mission that launches in 2020 that has the name Perseverance in the title, I think, is aptly named. As far as the time we're in, and I would also say that the thing that I'm really curious about on the American mission is this helicopter drone. I don't think I need to explain to anybody on this hearing this that Mars has a tiny fraction of the atmosphere of the Earth, and so to get a helicopter to take off, even a super light one, I think that's going to be really cool. And it's the first time something. It seems simple, but that's the first time something that fast is going to be roaming around on Mars. So I think that's really cool too.
And with the total recall, sort of, because it's Mars, I want it to be that whenever they hit a button that they take that, that the little helicopter drone takes off from the rover, I want it to play "Get to the Chopper." All right. So you've indulged me with my science talk, guys. Now let's get back to elite stuff. All right. Discussion topic number 1. The new what about a new module type? Ready? A hardpoint, air-to-ground weaponry, and/or camera, or some sort of a sensor suite. So we've been talking about, like, a lot of the things, in the interview that I had with Frontier, and tonight we've more than a few times said, hey, man, you need a thing that fits the role. You need a thing that is used for the thing. And to me, one of the things that I see right now, like, what could be a new thing that sort of makes sense based off of, you know, not just preconceptions of I want this, I want that, but more along the lines of, hey, wait, this fits in with the other stuff that you're doing. So if what we're doing with the new stuff is, you know, space leg, a lot of stuff is space leg based and sort of around that concept. Imagine a ship that's doing sort of troop drops. They're doing hot drops. So you're talking about a ship that's going to, you know, come in, drop, troops pile out of it, SRVs, you know, combat assault SRVs or whatever, and then immediately take off. And now that ship is flying close air support. Well, what you're going to need is hard points, some form of weaponry that have, you know, bombs, guided munitions. You know, we already have right now sort of dumbfire rockets that you can just, you know, shoot sort of straight ahead, but a little more, I think, sophistication with how you can handle, like, you know, target, you know, different things. And you'll have, you know, air to ground missiles. You'll have, you know, air to surface, whatever. You'll have different things like that. Let's start with Mal.
With me, what?
Yeah, we'll start with Mal. Let's get your thoughts.
It's interesting. This is not the first time that I've heard this. I think Commander Burr said last week, like, he was really looking forward to something of this measure too. Not specifically with the camera or air to ground, but with close combat air support. Something where you had one mechanic that would put people on the ground and another mechanic that would make somebody want to stay in a ship to provide some sort of support. So, I mean, of course, I have a military background, so I was in the Army for almost a decade. So immediately my head goes to, you have troops on the ground, they're going to laser the target, you have the ship come overhead, it's going to drop the ordnance. Like,
laser guided.
I really, really like this idea. I really think it's I think it's a good way to bridge the gap between elite feat and flying a spaceship. And I think it's, the more I've thought about it and the more I think about it, and I heard what you were just saying, the more it really does feel like we need these connective tissues between the walking around experience and the flying a spaceship experience in order for elite feat to work.
Okay. All right. And you know what? We're going to mix it up here because we're going to give Psykit the chance to get the last in on this one. So let's go with Roy. What are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, one thing I've been pondering is if there's going to be a paradigm shift to where you don't always have to have a person associated with a ship. Like if you imagine taking 8 people to some kind of combined arms engagement at a settlement, do you need 8 ships? Is it 4 ships with multi-crew? Is it 1 ship where now you can treat people as cargo and you've got like ODST style man in a pod that you can, you know, drop from, or people jump out and use their jetpacks like parachutes on the way down? What's sort of the logistics there? And is there going to be a breaking apart of the 1-to-1 or 2-to-1 paradigm of people to ships? Like as it is in the game now, you play your ship. If it does the whole paradigm shift to now you play your body basically, and you may be in a ship or you may not be in a ship, and you don't have to be in a ship to get to where you can walk around. Someone else could take you there.
Maybe.
The other thing I thought of is you know, what about modules where what if the ship could project its shield out farther, so you could have a ship on the ground, and now you can use that as a defensive point, and people could be inside the shield of the ship, but still standing a few meters away from the ship, that sort of thing.
Or maybe some sort of ECM, some sort of you're a jammer ship like the old
yeah,
the old
Wild
EA
Weasel type stuff.
Yeah, Wild Weasels. Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be a ton of fun. Yeah, I just think it's endless. But the one I keep coming back to is it going to be like I'd love for a drop ship to actually be a drop ship where people pile out of it or people jump out of it or people get shot out of it, to kind of break apart this idea that everyone's got to show up in their ship. You could have a marshalling area, you know, a couple kilometers away where, yeah, maybe everybody flies there in their own ship, and then they organize to how they're going to do the strike, and they don't have to take in all the ships they're going to have, because they're going to be jumping out. So they don't, instead of just dismissing a ship, they're jumping out of one ship. That ship's doing the air cover, and then they're doing their thing on the ground.
Well, I mean, it's interesting that you bring up the wild weasels, because let's look at specifically the wild weasels. You have, back in the day, you had, situations of wild weasels that were doing a sort of a duel, so to speak, with a SAM site, where it's like, let's say that there is an some form of anti-grunt weaponry or anti-grunt force field or wall or something, right, that has to be overcome in order for your ground troops to achieve, taking a location. But you have to go in there with your wild weasel and do a sort of a duel with the site that is now launching surface-to-air missiles at you. Not the standard, like now when you go in and you scan a thing and they hit you with some lasers and you kind of just ignore it and do whatever, but like legit deadly missiles that you have to sort of evade, use your countermeasures and whatnot, and still take out that central location so that you're ready to, drop whatever wall is stopping the ground assault force from taking the location.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
That could be cool. All right, Arson, hit us up. Arson,
I would have
muted?
to.
No. Okay.
No. I would have to say that one of my favorite activities is actually settlement assaults. I'm going to latch on to a few things already said here. Number one, laser guided missiles. Oh my goodness. I would love to have my head tracker or VR headsets support turret control for Apache helicopter style multi-cannons to support infantry. But a little known feature, now I feel like I remember this is the case, but it's been a long time since I've done a settlement assault in wings. But you can actually, your SRVs and your ships in a wing, they have shared targeting. So if an SRV targets, say, a gun emplacement, the ships in the wing with that SRV, and if this isn't the case, that needs to be, can actually turn around and target the wingman's target to target that. So you're suddenly able to bring your ship's weapons to bear. I want to see that kind of mechanic across all of it. I also want to see, just in Odyssey in general, I really want to see the separation of your player and your ship. Even as far as if I am on Roy's ship and Roy decides to go exploring, 20,000 light years away, and I was on his ship while I'm on his ship, maybe it would be cool to be able to control some Achilles robots through telepresence in my assets on the other side of the galaxy. But for that combat stuff, like I said, the laser guided missiles, having a ship drop pod your Helldivers or whatever over a base through a quick flyover at high altitude, and then park 6 kilometers out, firing these massive missiles from way outside to take out power generators or turrets for the infantry would be just, that kind of stuff would be amazing. So I'm curious to see what Frontier does, that's for sure.
Right on. All right, Mama Psychic, bring it home. Hit us with some knowledge bombs.
Just to jump on the back of what everyone has said, really, the Odyssey trailer, the first initial Odyssey trailer, with seeing the ships flying so closely to the people moving about, does give me that little bit of hope that there is going to be like that ship to ground interaction, rather than it becoming like a completely separate entity. I think I have faith that with the amount of time that they've spent working on it, that I have faith that we're going to be pleasantly surprised, but I still remain forever cautiously optimistic.
I remember you saying that actually in the interview with Burr, and he was like, "Yeah, I've never seen the full video because I pass out at that point." Yeah. All right.
He gets so excited.
Yeah, no, I get it, dude. I get it 100%. All right. So let's take it to discussion topic number 2. Internal ship customization / livery. Okay, I would like to see more internal ship customization livery options. Frontier could even use this as a revenue generator. You know, you can sell different cockpit themes, different types of internal lights, options, pets. Come on, let's get some co-pilots up in here. If you put it down and say, hey, 20,000 arcs, and you get a little dog of lore in your cockpit that, like, you see him walking around in a little Remlock suit with his little helmet, and he's got his little, like, those boots from Expanse, where every time he walks, the back of his boots, his little booties light up. Come on, man.
Have you seen my Be Right Back scene on Twitch?
Oh yes, with the dog is walking and the SRV is behind it.
What we need.
Absolutely. I dig it, but I want it, you know, with the little magnetic boots, like, just hanging out in the cockpit while you fly around, and then, you know, like a little captain's quarters that's just off of the cockpit, where, just like how Jean-Luc Picard had his little room was right there off to the side, and it's like, yeah, you go in there and oh, look, on the wall I've got my triple elite plaque that's up, and oh, I've got my, you know, you helped out the hull seals, whatever thing. And oh, I've got this and I've got that. And, you know, who knows? And, you know, it doesn't have to just be a doggo. There's cat people out there. There's even a certain somebody who's fond of a space hamster, you know, and I'm not talking about somebody from Baldur's Gate. I'm talking about a little Una out there. But yeah, for sure, I think. All right. So that's the thought. And we're going to start with Psykit. She's going to drop it on us. What are your thoughts on this?
I don't really have any. I think it's going to be difficult for them to optimize it, having like a little dog running around inside of your cockpit. While yes, is a wonderful idea, I think it would be difficult for them to optimize it so that it's capable. Those people with lower end machines would potentially struggle for that. The one thing that Elite is really, really good at doing is optimizing for the lower end machines, and implementing stuff along those lines is probably going to be a little bit of a drag on resources, potentially.
So maybe what you're thinking is our co-pilots have to stay in the ready.
Make it a bobblehead. If you want to add co-pilots, if you want to have a dog or a cat or something, yes, absolutely, I would love that. I would love to have a cat, or like the little cat, the little the good luck cat with the hand, with the paw, those things. I would love to have one of those. That would be great, but I don't think it's feasible at present to have that. And as far as like a captain's ready room for to see your achievements and those kind of things, that's a really great idea. Moving around on your ship with when Elite Feet does come, if we can move around on our ship, I need it to be for a purpose rather than just for the novelty of being able to walk around on your ship. So yeah, seeing that would be great, but you could also just have that on a loading screen, or have that on your start screen. Just, this is you in your ready room kind of thing.
Okay. Well, I mean, so the two aren't mutually exclusive. They can put in there, number one, actual interactive gameplay loops of, I got to go into the engine room and do some engineering or do some tweaking or do some repairs. And also, I have a vanity, you know, ready room where
absolutely. They're not necessarily exclusive, but the thing for me is, at the moment, if I can use an AFNU to repair everything bar certain items, if I can use my AFMU to do that, why am I going to bother getting up and walking all the way to the back of my ship? Because that's going to take a lot more time.
I agree.
It's if there is a benefit to it that is more sort of palpable than what we currently have. I don't want them to sacrifice what we currently have to bring something in that is going to take longer, which, I mean, essentially all comes down to the grind, which we should be used to now, but still, it's, I don't know. I'm not super keen on the idea of walking around your ship. I'm probably one of the few that isn't super keen on that, but yeah.
I can tell you this from other MMOs, citing I'm just going to cite Final Fantasy 14 right off the bat as an option because that's one that I spent a lot of time playing. There are people that literally spend hundreds of dollars of real life cash on. First, they have to go and buy their mansion, and that you don't that you buy for in-game credits. But you then have to go and spend actual cash on their version of the ARC store, which is called the MOG Station, to buy all of these special glam items that you can put in your house. And then those people keep up their subscription. I keep up my subscription to Final Fantasy. I haven't logged in a couple of months, but I keep it up because I'm attached to my mansion. I know it's stupid, but like there's people that do that, and this is basically a license for Frontier to print money. And it's not for everyone. There's going to be people that are like, why would I want to do that? But there's plenty of people that will be like, shut up and take my money. So, Mal, what do you think?
Shut up and take my money. I love customization. I feel like this is probably a longer term target. Just because it's something that would probably drop with Odyssey as opposed to now. And I would be totally okay with that. If there's the option to do any sort of customization or, whether it's through ARCs or a different currency or something, I am all for it. I am all for making the ship internally just as much yours as we can externally. Just because that's something I've always enjoyed about that. I enjoy that in you don't get it as much with World of Warcraft, but you definitely do get some customization and through transmog and stuff like that of your character. I love it as part of Star Trek Online. I love being able to customize the bridge of my ship and my uniforms. I would absolutely love to have some more customization options, and of course pets. Yeah, of course pets. I would love to have pets. Yeah, I'm all for it.
All right. Arson, what do you think?
I'm also in the take my money camp. I was really big into Star Wars Galaxies as a teenager, and for those that are familiar with it, it had this wonderful mechanic where you could basically take a blueprint of a house that somebody built for you with materials and all that stuff. You could take it into the game world, place it down, and once you had it, you could actually walk into it, no loading screens, put down furniture, items you picked up in the game world, things like that. And I think the things that I'm hoping for the most is, number one, being able to open cargo canisters, which I have actually started collecting every cargo in the game as a result of this hope. And basically maybe getting, this is a box of consumer goods. Let's see what's inside of it, pulling things out of it. I want to see that kind of stuff. But I also very much would like to see the vanity items for ARCs, definitely changing the color and lighting of my cockpit and other parts of my ship. Everybody loves a fresh coat of paint. I would also, for the decal thing, I would love to be able to like Half-Life Source Engine style spray paint all of the decals I have access to all over in different parts of my ship. That would be awesome too.
I dig it. All right. Remind me to be far, far away when you get to opening up those bio-waste containers. Yeah. Roy.
I'm not going to warn you.
So I've been thinking a lot about this issue that Psykit raised, and we've heard about it in the past too. Of like, what's the point of walking around the inside of your ship? How can that be useful? Things that I would have done on the side panel with a flick of the HOTAS or a couple of keystrokes. Why do I now want to walk somewhere to do that? How is that fun? And what I think back to is I played Warframe for a long time. I haven't played it since the Empyrean update, but in that you have a ship, and they have the advantage in that, I guess it's an advantage. It's also anyway, of the ships are all the same. Like you have one kind of ship. So the interior of the ship is very standardized, but what you have is a short walk to a variety of stations on the inside of your ship. And it's not about repairing your ship or refueling your ship or things like that. Each of the stations has to do with a gameplay loop. So
Mhm.
one of the stations is your 3D printer where you're crafting tools and weapons. Another station is basically your armory where you're kitting out your armor and weapons that you're wearing on a particular loadout. Another station is for your pet. There's a space dog and a space cat and varieties of them, and that's where your pet lives. And then there's another station that has more to do with how you mod things, which is a huge thing in that game. But they're not about, because I've often heard people talk about, well, I don't want to have to run back to a station to, reboot my power plant or whatever. Like, it's not that kind of thing. It's more about the same kind of things you would do now for, like, what if there was a station, and this is where I go with, I think third-party tools actually work against us in this sense, because if we didn't have tools like ED Engineer, imagine if that didn't exist, but now there was a station in your ship that had that, or there was a station in your ship that was more about just like the workshop for engineering, but it was graphical, so you could see more things happening as opposed to just stuff on a list. We're maybe a bit spoiled in how centralized and how efficient things are in all these panels we look at. But if you think about it, when you're like in your engineering panel, your workshop panel, you're doing stuff that somehow automatically is just happening in the background, like your stuff is being added on to a weapon or added on to your FSD drive without any physicality happening. And that's maybe what could be added if those things were done in a station on your ship. Plus, you can, in Warframe, you can buy all kinds of doodads and bling and put it all over the inside of your ship, and people, of course, do that. And you could even put up frames with pictures and other stuff, and that becomes a personalized space. And there's merit to that, just in that, and having like a little personalized space, whether it's like the Captain Picard thing or like the captain's quarters in Mass Effect, the fish tank or whatever, that sort of stuff. That can add to the immersion.
I would love a fish tank. I am going to warn you though. Be very, very careful calling out ED Engineer around Psykit. You'll lose a finger. You lose a hand, bro.
I was pointing out its utility.
I know. I'm just playing. All right. So that is excellent stuff, and I'm interested, guys. I'm very, very interested in the comment section of the YouTube video, on at the email. Send it in on the Discord. Write in. I want to hear your thoughts on both the idea of a hardpoint, a air-to-surface either weapon or scanner or camera or something that could be used, and also your idea on internal customization, in the ship customization and livery options and whatnot. Tell me what you think, what your ideas are and whatnot. So we're going to skip over the reading the feedback and the prize winner, and we're going to go to state of the game, and then we're going to circle back around to that prize winner and feedback stuff. So because I want to make sure, I know it's getting super, super late for my guests, and I want to make sure that we give them a chance to weigh in on state of the game if they have to run. So first thought on state of the game. I've heard a couple of places the concept of like, well, maybe we should just have an economy reset, just start everybody back to nothing, and then you can whatever. I just want to real quick dispense with this idea. That is a bad idea. Don't mention that again. That is all of the salt, none of the happiness, many people being turned away from the game. Nah. Mm-mm. The next thing on that was we already got the Tritium top-up salt. The Russian data miner situation. All right, so this is a weird thing, and we do not cover leaks on this show, but data mining, it's stuff that's in the game. It kind of rides that line where we don't go like super, super deep on it, but we look at it a little, and so yeah, let's look at it. In the picture, basically, they scraped off a picture, and it's got all kinds of symbols, and they show, hey, this is new, and this is new, and this is new out of the codex, and what do you think? And so in Russian, the translation thing, they talk about several things that they pull. One is guardian objects, another is geology and anomalies, organic structures, and another is gas giant Earth-like planets. There's also, from that picture, there's 3 cityscapes that I thought were really cool. One was a daytime cityscape with a huge office building that has Bank of Zeance on it, which is super, super interesting to me. There's another one that's a daytime tropical bay, and then there's sort of a nighttime looking one. I don't think, though, I know some people are getting excited and saying, oh, look at these. Oh, it's atmospheric. We're landing on cities. Dude, you're getting way ahead of yourself. I think it's way more likely that what you're seeing there are art set piece pictures that will sort of be set to accompany maybe a GALNET article or a something of something at some point. So, yeah. So that's that is that. And then the last sort of thing that I have on State of the Game is the new arcs. I got the message today with like, oh, here's the new arc stuff. There is a Cobra paint job in there that is super sexy. It's the sort of winding snake around the top of the paint job. So I went out and immediately got myself that for the Cobra because I have a soft spot in my heart for the Cobra. So the way we do State of the Game for the guests, I just want to make sure that I call it out here. What we're going to do is we're going to go over those 4 things that I just mentioned, and you give your thoughts on it, and then anything that you thought of for like, hey man, this is what I'm noticing this week. This is what's I'm seeing this in the consciousness, the collective consciousness of the elite community, and we'll just add to it. So, all right, we'll start with Roy. Your thought on the whole idea of economy reset?
Well, I don't think it's workable in its most extreme form. I mean, there's just so much work people have put into creating their careers, so to speak, in this game. I can't imagine that being received well. That being said, I could certainly see a benefit to having a smaller form of crisis that, it's been brought up before, this idea of, burning the bubble, or what happens with the new narrative, perhaps around a Thargoid invasion or something, where it causes mass migration of people, perhaps, using fleet carriers, and like a massive upheaval, I think can be an interesting way to create a brand new dynamic, but also in the course of doing that, maybe a lot of other things get done. Like if you need to reset values of things or values for that you'd earn for doing different activities, you could kind of make some wholesale changes if you're, creating almost like an exodus type event. So that I can't see it in its most extreme form, but I think there's a lot of opportunities for lesser forms of it that could provide some pretty interesting gameplay.
Data miners.
Yeah. So when I saw this, the first thing that I thought of is the thing I've always wanted in this game, and maybe to answer one of the flight assist questions. It's like a thing. The thing I would have loved to see coming in Odyssey that hasn't been spoken about, or perhaps hasn't already been telegraphed. I love it when games have fishing. No, really, like imagine you get to land somewhere and just chill out next to a lake, and you're on that little porch on the back of the ship, or you're sitting on a rock because you're on your elite feet, and there's the beautiful scenery, and and of course this would be, when and if we get to go to water worlds, but or even just worlds with ponds on them, and you're there casting your fish, and maybe it's part of a maybe it's part of a mat farming loop, I don't know, but even if it's not, I always
You need 8 trout to upgrade your FSD.
maybe it's like some kind of wetware that gets to upgrade your biology or something. Who knows? Anyway, the point is, I find those kinds of things like a neat little relaxing escape, and it's just part of the immersion of being in a real world. So anyway, that's my vote. Is I hope this means there's fishing.
And the Arc's paint job.
Yeah,
Come
I like
on,
the
man,
black.
Cobra.
I like the black with the purple
Yes.
snake. I love
Yes.
that one. I love that. That's going to be mine. So
beautiful. Now, what do you have to add to the State of the Game, or did we pretty much cover everything in the show tonight?
I'm not going to spend much time on it. It's just about the whole mining and the patch thing. I'm having fun taking a break from that stuff and focusing on. There's lots of fun stuff to do in BGS, and I've taken some time to go, farm some stuff for Thargoid parts and the AXI initiative. It's just I don't. The interesting thing is I'm not feeling any, fear of missing out because I'm not mining because it's not working. So
Yeah.
it's a bit freeing actually. So there's that.
Whoa. Tinfoil hats, everybody. What if they're new coking us? What if they're going to give us like, a month of free tritium or whatever so that there's a massive break? And then when they introduce mining changes that bring mining down a good bit, we've had a whole month of nobody mining. So like people don't scream as much about it because they're like, it's new coke. We had that break in between. And okay. All right. So Arson, economy reset. Just you can give a one-word answer. It's dumb. Well, we'll accept that.
Well over 6,000 hours since January 1st, 2015. Hell to the no.
Beautiful. Russian data mining.
I don't like it. I'm not a fan. The images that have come out of it are pretty cool, but I agree with your sentiment. Those are almost certainly for GALNET articles.
Now, I will point out, like people are saying, like, "Oh, look, there's a thing that looks like a mushroom." It could be a mushroom. It could also be some weird kind of a structure thing, or it could be two structure things, like a ship going into a structure. There's a thing that looks like a fish. It could be a fish, or it could be a targeting kind of arrow going into the side of like a kind of a station thing, or it could be whatever. The one that it looks like a plant. Okay, I agree with you. It looks like a plant, but we've got codex. We've got trade goods already. That it's like, oh, this is whatever. This is going to be Lavian wheat or some crap. Like that doesn't to me sing out anything. And the one that people are like, oh, it looks like a little bug. I think what you're looking at there is Vitadyne nanomeds, which I've already said those are going to be the health pots when we go running around shooting.
Yeah, so all of that stuff, what I see when I see that kind of art coming into the play, even though it's not something that illustrates that, oh, this is going to be in game in Odyssey, which I don't think is the case, it still tells me that later on when they get down the road in Elite where they're building Earth-likes for us and they're using all of that animal technology that they built in Planet Zoo, oh my gosh, it's going to be awesome because you're seeing all these really cool, just strange things that Frontier has it actually seems like outer space, and the fact that that's where their mind is going just gives me so much hope for the future of Elite, and I think it's wonderful. And the data
And on a scale of on a scale of 1 to sexy, your thoughts on the super sexy Cobra, the black paint job with the purple Cobra, Python ship, whatever, snake on a Cobra.
It's snake on a Cobra. I'm tired of these snakes on these planes.
Yeah.
It's sexy. There's not a scale big enough, I don't think.
I am not tired of these effing snakes on these effing paint jobs. Keep them coming. I love that. I love that paint job. All right, let's see. Who wants to go first for this one? Does Mal want to go first? Does Psykit want to go first? I've been trying to mix it up, but now I'm going to give you guys the choice. You decide.
Oh, Mal.
Okay,
Mal.
I'll go.
All right. So economy reset.
I'm gonna say hard pass on economy reset. There's a lot of I like the idea of having some major event that would shake things up considerably, but I agree with the sentiment that too many people have put in too many hours to get where they are in the game and don't want a Fight Club level tear down the establishment event to happen.
Mal, you had me at hard no. All right. Russian data mining. Your thoughts?
I mean, honestly, I don't. The most interesting thing to me about these is that the specifically the little assets of like the fish, the leaf, the nanobot,
the pyramid.
Yeah. What those look like to me are more. It's the possibility that they're assets that were created and never used, or that they're assets that are going to be used before we go to Odyssey. So I think at the most, this speaks to me that there are still options for new content, which is exciting. I don't know what that content would be. I don't really, I mean, yeah, it looks like a mushroom and a fish and a plant to me, but what does that mean? I don't know. It just means that there's the potential for something we haven't seen yet in game, and that to me is exciting.
Oh, sorry. I had hit the mute, and I'm literally talking to you. Last thing was the paint job on the Cobra. What do you think?
I love the paint job on the Cobra. I'm not a fan of any of the Dazzle paint jobs, but man,
Yeah.
that Cobra is sexy AF. I will agree with you.
Beautiful, beautiful. And because I forgot so rudely on Arson, well, actually, wait, I was just about to make the same mistake. Mal first. Your other thoughts of anything you want to add to State of the Game from this week, or thoughts, or whatever, or did we cover it everything? We talked a lot.
Yep, pretty much covered it. I'm excited to also not be mining and not have mining FOMO. Right?
Yeah.
It's nice to just be able to focus on BGS for a change.
Beautiful. All right, and doubling back to Arson real quick, is there anything that you wanted to add to State of the Game? Arson, you're mute.
Of course, I'm pulling it too. I have to say, I've got to mirror the same sentiment. I very much was going to be mining my face off this week trying to get enough money to buy a few Class 8 and 7 and 6 prismatic shields. But I'm honestly enjoying not worrying about it. I've done so much other more interesting stuff this week, and I'm not a fan of mining in the first place, so a forced break is kind of nice. And I do, honestly, if they're new coking us, I'm okay with that.
Okay. And the honored spot of the final word on the State of the Game, we go with Psykit. Your thoughts on the economy reset?
Oh God, no.
I love you so much right now. The Russian data mining picture with the stuff and the symbols.
I'm very much with Mal. I don't think they're I think they have been added to the game as assets that they were hoping to maybe use at some point, like as a just in case thing, rather than stuff that's even potentially going forward. The fish, it's definitely a fish, by the way. And the little bug and all of that sort of stuff, and it's not a mushroom, it's a Panther Clipper.
There we go.
But yeah, I'm very much of the opinion that those are everything here are assets that were supposed to be in the game or have been added to the game as stuff that they had the possibility of using, and they're not gonna end up using them now. That's my feeling about it.
And the super sexy Cobra paint job?
I don't like it. Don't get too shocked or anything. It's all right. I don't like any of the snaky ones.
Well,
sorry.
I was gonna offer to have your babies, but now it's off.
Nah, I'm good. I'm good.
Now,
but yeah, I'm not a big fan of them.
Now, State of the Game. Add something. Drop some knowledge on us.
I've not mined for bloody ages. Since I got my fleet carrier, I haven't mined. So it's not like I'm missing out on mining. But we're really busy at the moment. So there's plenty of other stuff, and it's quite nice seeing like members of my squadron going, oh well, given the fact that mining's not doing, let's just take a look and see what the BGS orders are right now. And I'm like, oh okay, I can give you something to do. That's not a problem.
Beautiful. So basically, Psykit just dropped the hipster line on us. She's like, I wasn't mining before it was cool.
I did an awful lot of mining though, to be fair.
And I just want to, because I hogged up point 2 and just kind of went on a mini rant earlier. But let's start at the top and work our way down. Everybody, your thoughts on the Tritium top-up salt. I'm not talking about, yes, absolutely, I 100% agree on the line of like, man, it would have been nicer if they gave us a little bit of sort of advance warning so that people could coordinate better and to try to make the maximum use of the people that were stranded or semi-stranded or whatever. But I'm talking about just the actual salt of people who are saying like, but how come I didn't get something and you got something? Arson.
I wasn't paying attention. I'm sorry.
Beautiful. All right. That's your comment though. That's your official comment, and it's on the record. Roy.
Feeling salty that you didn't get it is a first Galaxy problem.
Beautiful. I love you, man. Mal.
I don't understand. I understand why people have the salt, but I can't get there in my own head.
Okay.
That makes sense.
And Mama Psykit, drop it on us.
More important things going on in the world at the moment. It is what it is.
Beautiful. All right. So we're all sort of the same mind of like everybody chill. And also again, and we're not in any way being, I don't think any of us being disrespectful of those people who are legitimately put out because they're stranded, they're trying to get out there. But we're just saying we're all enjoying the little break from mining. And so with the one exception of those people that are stuck out there, please Frontier help them. I've got 45 billion in extra liquid assets. Take it out of my money, give them tritium, let them keep going. Those heroes that are going out there to do their DSSA stuff, like please God, help them out so that the best of us aren't in a situation where they get screwed. But for everyone else in the bubble, chill the hell out. And just, go do other stuff. Go help Psykit do her BGS stuff. Come turn the wheel. Come do whatever cool new thing the Op Ida guys are going to be doing, as now they're like, whatever, starting maybe starting a FEMA, like I said, in the bubble, or go buckyball racing, or go to get in on the Op Ida, or not Op Ida, the AXI Art of War, like all of this stuff. There's everyone. So it's a weird thing to me because everyone has spent the last year doing two things. Number one, everyone has been saying mining's too overpowered. It sucks. You have to mine. You have to mine. You have to mine. And then the second thing that they're saying is like, man, you need to buff other things so that people don't feel guilty for having to mine all the time. They can go and do combat, or they could do BGS, or they could mission run, or whatever. Okay, we're in a place right now where mining is not overpowered, and you could go do all of those other things that you've been saying you've been wanting to do for forever. Go do them. Mining will be back in a week. Just chill. All right. Man, I'm going to get hate mail for that one. All right. Let's now that we've gotten everything for that, let's go back and we'll cover the feedback and the prize winner. And we're going to start with DJ Wiley's feedback.
Okay, so DJ Wiley wrote in, and this was, of course, to the question about the mentor program, having that in the game and pros and cons. DJ says, I think a mentor program like you described should really be a no-brainer for FDev to implement for 3 reasons. 1, they help address the well-known steep learning curve of the game, helping retain more players and ultimately meaning more potential revenue for the company. 2, they tap into the resources of the awesome community around the game. They're basically a shed load of players that would be willing to give up their time and practically work for FDev for free to help out new players and again boost retention. And 3, they will promote and make use of the underutilized and often maligned feature that is multi-crew. Do we lose Arson? Hello, Arson.
No. Are you ready for me to go with Woven?
Yes, please. That was the end.
Excellent.
Of DJs.
All right, one moment here. We got so much feedback this time. It's wonderful. So Light Roven wrote in and said, thanks for this. Your idea of the starter mentors started with Anarchy Online with their ARC program. Time spent as a volunteer was paid back with account time. No status for the user account. Of course, this isn't that the Elite Dangerous financial model, my bad. Maybe ARC's currency in game instead. So basically he's saying since Elite doesn't have paid game time for a monthly subscription, that they could perhaps give ARCs instead, so you can buy vanity stuff, which is kind of an interesting idea.
Next we had PP Junkie writing in, while I understand what your thought process is, I honestly think this is redundant. There's a lot of material, YouTube channels, and Discords that cover this need already. While some new players may have a difficult time in the first 10 or so hours, it doesn't take much effort to find the info needed. So a contrarian view there.
Definitely so. The next one was from Bob Blunderbust says, I think the mentor system is good. I think giving people items will not work. People would try to game it and only be in there for the prize. Maybe it could just be a CH, I'm not sure what that is, for people just willing to help with nothing but the feeling of helping. I also am not sure how well that would work. Elite is a game that you got to want to learn, and some people are not willing to Google or look it up on YouTube. I had a friend on Xbox who was a pilot in real life and couldn't figure out how to fly the ship and just gave up. I just don't see a mentor program helping, and we have a ton of YouTube channels who do cover a lot about the game that you would ever want to learn. So I gotta say, I think mentor program would be useless. And also, a lot of nice squadrons in the game that help people who join as well. So in a way, that is a mentor program already in the game. So also a contrarian view to the idea.
Okay.
I'm going to double back to Teflon 12
Yes,
here.
thank you.
He said, I think a mentor program isn't a bad idea as long as there are plenty of new players still coming in. Some of my favorite memories of playing this game are when I was playing with other people early on who were more than happy to help me learn whatever I needed to know. For example, my friend Dan, who brought me into the game, taught me how to go bounty hunting and it helped me outfit my first ship after the Sidewinder. That kind of experience can be invaluable to new players, especially since I don't know how the new player experience works for players who start nowadays. I'm going to pick up the next one here, Commander Hazard. As a new commander myself, most of my learning has been from wikis, forums, and YouTube. There are plenty of resources, but nothing can compare to someone else personally showing you the ropes. It would be great if the student could rank the mentor on a few factors such as knowledge, kindness, helpfulness. Higher ranked mentors could be chosen more often and earn exclusive cosmetics like decals, skins, accessories. As with any system that gives a reward, of course, you're going to have people in it for just the rewards that don't actually care about mentoring, but they'll naturally get lower scores. So interesting thought there.
All right.
Definitely.
And Zerkesh, next.
So Zerkesh says, let's not forget that wikis can grow outdated and guides left by their creators, so the mentor program can offer far more up-to-date information. I've run into several things on the wikis and through various guides that simply aren't correct anymore due to the changes in the game over time. The guide that YouTuber The Mighty Jingles is currently using to run a series on unlocking all engineers is, for example, outdated in a few of the steps due to engineers having been moved around and their required items for unlocks no longer being the same, etc. In a nutshell, I think the mentoring system could be a great thing for the game, but it certainly will have its pitfalls in players trying to game it if there's anything to gain from it in terms of rewards, which I really believe there shouldn't be. The greatest reward the mentor receives is more people playing the game with them in the end.
Amen, brother.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Next up is Mirth.
Mirth, perhaps a Mork and Mindy fan. I agree with no incentives to join a mentor program other than to help new players. One thing I would guard against is people who would join just to screw with new players. We don't want people who get their enjoyment out of ruining others' enjoyment. We don't want people griefing in the mentoring program. That would be terrible.
Yeah,
100%.
I think that's where that rating mentors would come into play.
Next up, we've got Ryoko.
Is that how you pronounce that?
That's how I pronounce it. Ray OCO.
What
Okay,
about Nirakoji?
Yeah, Nirakoji.
Oh, I'm sorry, I jumped ahead there. I pulled an R. All right, go ahead with
Pulled Narsa.
Nirakoji. Yeah. How do you spell? How do you pronounce Nirakoji? Ryoko. Duh. All right, go ahead with Nirakoji. My apologies.
So Nirakoji says, mentoring is a hugely satisfying venture in and of itself. And like the fuel rats, I'm sure many people would volunteer to do that in a more formal capacity. They could have an incentive for it with custom skins and perhaps a mentor-only permit locked station, or traveling megaship that has some items at a lucrative discount, or rares that can be traded out, both questions. It could be tracked through wing or multi-crew time for that specific category and maybe even regulated with rollbacks like power play tiers. This would further incentivize continued participation.
Good stuff.
Okay, now we have Ryoko. A mentoring program is a great idea. Also, I saw friends trying and giving up on Elite because of its complexity. I agree with the approach, giving no incentives to the mentors. No one teaches better than people who are enthusiastic on the subject, and I want to make people see its beauty. Remember your good or bad math or physics teachers. Therefore, in my honest opinion, the program should attract mentors who are genuinely in love with this game and therefore draw their motivation intrinsically from mentoring. Enthusiasm can carry you a long way in mentoring. Qualifications are still required, though. I also see the challenge to get new players into the mentoring program, particularly the shy ones, consider me included, miss out on the great opportunity of this game, or great community of this game. Having the mentoring program included in this game, as well as having it advertised as something really normal and worthwhile to use, might attract a whole new bunch of people.
Man, I could not agree with that statement more. Good stuff. All right, we got Hi-Ho. Hi-Ho.
So Commander Hi-Ho says, I think mentorship chat program would do a lot of good for getting new players more comfortable with the nuances within the game by giving them a reliable in-game repository of information. Systems such as YouTube videos and player-owned Discord shouldn't be looked to as the absolute answer either. They ignore that ED has a relatively small player base and, with that, will have smaller number of content creators, which means there is less overall up-to-date content. I personally came back to the game nearly 2 months ago after not playing since shortly after release, and the number of resources I found that were completely out of date ended up wasting so much time that if I weren't at least familiar with the concept of the game and played it before, I would have probably walked away then. That's a really good point. My philosophy for mentorship chat would be, rather than holding players' hands, more for guiding them to more relevant resources and letting them know what has been patched, there have been more than a few people in various Discords and Reddit posting asking how they sell all the LTDs they mined after the patch to break the LTD mines. What I would want to avoid is encouraging people to wing up and get walked through all the content, as I've seen in not a few games. It ends up with people asking over and over for someone to carry them through the content in the game. That's a really good point too.
Yeah, don't hand a man an LTD. Teach a man to LTD.
There you go.
Then we have Cleonimus. If a reward system was introduced, I would suggest a bronze, silvers, gold time-limited decal. The color determined via feedback. The better the mentor is rated, the golder the decal. The decal should expire after a period of 3 or 6 months if no more feedback is logged. This means a commander who stops helping eventually loses his decal and encourages their continued dedication to the game and the community. Of course, Frontier could add a mentor/request mentor option to the in-game multi-crew system that could help too. So another sort of feedback loop being suggested there.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm digging it.
All right, let's actually go with HW next, and then we'll do Von Reisfeld, and then we'll do Data.
Okay. You taking HW, Arson?
Yeah, I can do that. So HW emailed in, says, Hi, a mentor program would be a good idea, but much more needed is to have more information and documentation within the game. It needs to be possible to successfully play the game without any outside information as a single player. Please keep in mind that there are people playing on an Xbox, which is a device limited to playing games. That requires that everything needed to play the game needs to be within the game itself. Mentors shouldn't be required. Their function would mostly be to figure out what needs to be put in the game so that it can be successfully played. Helping others would be one possible means to that end. I'm not sure if it would help though. Or maybe I'm not playing Elite Dangerous successfully. It comes down to either some trade or some sightseeing missions, none of which even really pay out while evading useless. Yet annoying interdictions every now and then, while endlessly flying and docking and undocking. It just gets boring very soon.
I can't say that I agree with all of that one, but I appreciate that you took the time to write in with your feelings, and everybody's viewpoint is valid to a certain extent. I mean, it's what you feel. So, yeah, I mean, maybe there's some different things that you can get involved with. I would strongly suggest join the Elite Week Discord, and because you sent your feedback in via the Elite Week 3306 at gmail.com. But join the Discord and get involved in some of the group things that we're doing, and hopefully, I think you'll maybe find it a lot less boring and a lot more sort of rewarding and interesting. And you would not believe the amount of times that we're just flying around with a half a dozen people being silly and telling jokes and just cracking jokes and cold ones and having a good time.
Yeah,
All right.
now I would like to just say that to a point of one of the things he said. One thing that Frontier could do, they have these lovely training missions that have the voice actor that they added several patches ago, and like major patches. Yeah, they're fantastic. I would love if they really hammered home in those that the sandbox, you need to create your journey. And I don't think that the game does a great job of communicating that fact, even though that is the purpose of the game. I still don't really agree with the feedback, because that whole process is what we're talking about. That's what the game's for.
Okay. Von Ricefield is next.
Von Ricefield, I think. Yeah,
mentor program. Like one of those guys that tried to whack Hitler with the briefcase bomb, but yeah.
Mentor program, it's a shame one really doesn't exist. Granted, there's your typical tutorial you can select from the main menu, as well as a find a mentor multi-crew option, which is next to never used. But ideally, a mentor program would help massively in the elite community, especially with new players. From starting out to detailed explanation of career paths ranging from trading to piracy to exploration, which ships are ideal for what role, best ways to grind engineering, etc. Information as such would be extremely beneficial to new players rather than spending more time Googling the web looking for answers. They can get stuck into the game much sooner if such information was at hand ready to read. Heck, even veteran players can learn a new thing or two. Additionally, it can be a new way to build upon communication as well as allowing new players to engage in the community much sooner. Personally, I think we should push for this kind of thing, but as I stated previously, it's a shame that not enough people utilize this method as well as the find a mentor search within multi-crew.
Okay. And to wrap it up, let's end with Lieutenant Commander Data.
Lieutenant Commander Data says, I like just about any idea that gives more opportunities for players to work together, the mentorship program included. I won't repeat the many good reasons already given by others, so here's an idea I think would be cool for such a program. More ways for the teacher and student to interact through the user interface. Like a sort of enhanced wing or multi-crew, where the teacher has more ability to control the ship, plot routes for the student's ship, etc.
So much good feedback, and I could not agree with Data anymore. Here's the thing, guys. This was very, very tough. We got a mountain of feedback, and that was awesome. And even some of them that disagreed with me, like if it's like, okay, I see you're making a point there. That's interesting. We had to go through a couple of rounds to sort of narrow this down because the feedback was so good. But I think in the end, just by a hair, out of like there were like 5 people in the running. It was that good, but Zerkesh took it. So congratulations to Zerkesh. You, sir, have won a let me pull it up and get the exact let's see here. Where is it? It's right here. You, sir, have won the This one is the wait, is this one explosive? Yeah, the explosion pack. You've won. Wait, am I looking at the wrong one? It was the
explosion pack this week?
Yeah. I'm looking. I'm second guessing myself because I have this thing sort of put into a smaller window. There we go. The explosion pack. So that means that you get the Gamescom Cobra paint job. That's an exclusive. The PAX East Vulture paint job. I like that one. That's an exclusive. And the PAX South Sidewinder paint job. That, again, is an exclusive. So, Zerkesh, congratulations. We're going to go ahead and just message me in the Discord, and we will... for sure, I'll get the codes to you and you can redeem it. And congratulations on your victory. Now, for this week's community feedback, this week you can win the Gravity Prize Pack. This is a decal and 2 paint jobs. And for your chance to enter this week's contest or just to take part in the community feedback section and hear your submission read and discussed on air, the topics are, number 1, the new module concept, an air-to-ground weapons / camera / whatever, some sort of what am I saying, guys? Camera. What's the other thing? No. The other thing of you got the weapons, you got the camera, you got the sensors, some special sensor or jamming, like we're talking about.
Oh,
with
the wild weasels.
Yeah. And topic number 2, internal ship livery and customizations. What do you want to see added to it? What are you like? Shut up and take my money. I want a llama in my ship, or oh my god, I want a disco ball, or I want a bobblehead that is I want my power play. I want my Aisling Duval bobblehead. I happen to know, wink, wink, that they have a thing done up. So they have those. They have those internally. They just haven't given them to us yet. So what do you want for your internal ship livery? And as always, you can enter the feedback section with a well-written review on iTunes, Google Podcasts, or Spotify, etc. You just need to send us a picture in the Discord in the hashtag community feedback section so that we know, because, unfortunately, if you live in, Australia or Ireland or whatever, we're not gonna see your feedback on iTunes or whatever, because they segregate them all in different areas. But if you live in Tokyo or Afghanistan or Iceland or New Jersey, just go ahead and write a iTunes review or Spotify or Google Play review and take a picture of it and post it in that channel so that we know. And it can be, it's not, this isn't like, hey, you have to give us a 5-star review to be entered to win. You can, okay, I just looked up at the chat and I see Coffee Maker and Aisling Duval body pillow. And I think one of these two I want, and one of these two I need. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, man, it doesn't have to be just a 5-star review. It could be like, hey, I'm giving you 4 stars. I like your show, but it would be better if you did this, whatever, man. We're not trying to force you to do, oh, you can only just blow sunshine. Like, nah, give us whatever. But that's how you can win. And those, what the prize is now. So get in touch with us. Guys, we are way late. We're going to wrap it up. It's been a great show. I want to say again, thank you so much to MalForTheWin and Psykit for coming in and visiting with us. Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Arson. Thank you, everybody in the chat and enjoying the show later on in podcast form or whatnot. Again, make sure that you hit us up. You know all the ways. I said it in early on, and it's going to be in the show notes. The show notes will have the timestamps coming up here in the next hour or two, and the podcast version will be ready to air, tomorrow morning. So, Arson, go ahead and play us out, brother. Let's get out of here.